What is up, everyone, and welcome to the WAN Show. We've got a great show lined up for you guys today, I hope. Apple launched their M4 processor, bringing ray tracing to the iPad. And Microsoft has caught heat for sudden game studio closures, including the maker of surprise hit Hi-Fi Rush. At risk of spoiling a little bit of this topic, the worst part of it is, was it just after the studio closure or just before the studio closure that Microsoft basically came out and said, we need more games like those games they just made?
I don't remember which one it was, but it was very closely tied.
We'll get into it. What else we got today?
Yeah. Sony, I'm just going to pull this one out. Sony just keeps digging. We thought they were out of it. You know, they added PSN to Helldivers, and then they're like, okay, we'll take it away. And it's not back. But the reason why everyone was actually mad is back.
Dude, Sony is the classicest example of a company that never learns.
Yeah.
They never, ever learn.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that. Also, there's new handheld news. ROG Ally X, Nintendo Switch 2, stuff's coming.
You picked that?
What else is there?
All right. The show is brought to you today by AG1, Ridge, and Backblaze. Why don't we jump right into our headline topic, which is, of course, the ad that Apple released for the new iPad. Let's get through what the new iPad is. Apple officially launched their new M4 chip. Surprising, anyone who doesn't pay attention to leaks, there was some speculation earlier this week that Twitter's AI news summary feature may have access to scheduled tweets because of how accurate its summary of the upcoming Apple event was. I don't think that that's been confirmed. I don't think that that's necessarily gone anywhere. I haven't followed it up, so maybe it did, but I saw that. I thought it was pretty funny. Anyway, the new M4 chip is broadly similar to the M3, but has an additional 2 efficiency cores and a 20% increase in memory bandwidth. Apple is also claiming a more powerful neural engine, and that's where some of the speculation about why we're getting an M4 chip before they've even seemingly finished rolling out the M3 family. Anyone else notice that the Mac Studio still has an M2 series chip in it? Are Mac users, and by Mac users, I don't mean Apple users, I mean specifically Mac, not MacBook. Are Mac users feeling like Apple just straight up doesn't care about you at all? Every single time they come back and they're like, no, we hear you. You matter to us. Here's a new Mac Pro with upgradable memory and upgradable GPU. By the way, we're never going to rev this again, and bye-bye. Oh, wait, no, we haven't forgot about you. Here's a Mac Pro that uses Apple Silicon. By the way, none of the upgrades and stuff are there, and it's like way more expensive for reasons we can't fully explain. Also, we're just not gonna revise it. You're gonna be on M2 Silicon forever, and then our other products, literally the iPad, is gonna get M4 before you guys get M3. It's kind of mind blowing at this point. Anyway, the more powerful neural engine is fueling speculation that Apple has accelerated their plans for M4 with all this AI in the news, and to make sure that their stock price doesn't go down because they don't have enough AI. Honestly, I kind of doubt it. Realistically, Apple is at a level where people do not invest in Apple for AI. People invest in Apple because they have a very, very beautiful, wonderful balance sheet on a quarterly basis. Anywho, benchmarks from Geekbench show the M4 easily beating Intel's Core i9-14900KS in terms of single-core performance. Of course, we've talked about this a fair bit in the past. Geekbench is not the be-all and end-all of performance. It's just convenient to run because it happens to be cross-platform. And the chip is launching in the first iPad to feature ray tracing and hardware-accelerated mesh shading. Man, if only they would let you run macOS on it. It would be like kind of the best macOS machine with a little folio. Apple also announced the new M2 powered iPad Air, which is actually slightly thicker than the iPad Pro. The iPad Pro is crazy thin, and that's where some of the marketing
it's weird naming,
hubbub has come from. It is.
If you're going to call it Air and have it be the thicker version, that is weird.
I mean, look.
It's cool that the Pro is so thin. I'm just saying.
Look, Luke, this is the company what brung you Mac Pro, Mac Pro, Mac Pro, all of which are completely different products with completely different characteristics. They don't, the trash can one doesn't even look the same as the other ones. This is also the company what brung you, I'm trying to think. Oh, shoot, no, I was going somewhere with this, but, Ultra Max. Pro Ultra. I don't even remember. Literally, their most important product line has gotten bloated to the point where it's kind of a mess. The iPhone used to be simple. It used to be, here's the new iPhone. Oh, by the way, you can still buy the old iPhone and it's cheaper.
Yeah.
Then we got, I'm trying to think of the exact order that things happened. Then we got the
Mini
SE.
was first? Oh, no, yeah.
And the SE kind of made sense. It was clearly separated from the rest of the product line. It didn't have the same premium feel, unapologetically plastic, but kind of made sense. And then things just got completely off the rails because now we've got Pros, we've got Pro Maxes, we've got
X is where it really went off the rails for me. Personally.
Sorry, X?
iPhone X? iPhone 10?
Oh, the iPhone 10, right.
It's just like, that was where they really lost me.
So
I'm excited. While we're talking about naming stuff, I'm going to allude to something I want to talk about later. I don't want to talk about it now, though. But what the heck are they going to call the new Switch?
Oh, well,
because a lot of news articles are saying Switch 2, but all they said is the
Nintendo.
Successor to the Switch.
There's no way Nintendo calls it Switch 2.
We'll get into that later.
All right, fine. Make a note in the Luke section then.
Okay.
They also launched the Pencil Pro, which is only compatible with the 2024 iPad Pro and iPad Air. And another notable detail is that upgrading the M4 iPad Pro to the 1TB model will also get you a more powerful 10-core processor versus the 9-core standard one, which is very MacBook-like. I thought it was the 512 as well. So don't quote me on that, but definitely you can get a more powerful processor by upgrading the storage. I guess, is this Apple sort of tacitly acknowledging that people that maybe they shouldn't be charging so much for just storage upgrades? So they're going to nerf the processor in their lower tier model so that you feel like you're getting more value? I'm actually not sure. Anyway, there was an ad for the new iPad Pro, and I have what I suspect is going to be a pretty unpopular take on it.
I wonder if it'll be unpopular with people here.
Here is the commercial.
We're going to watch it.
Which is still up, by the way, in spite of the fact... Actually, no, let's not watch the whole thing because I don't feel like getting, DMCA'd by Apple. But the point is, basically, there's a whole bunch of stuff... you got a piano, you got a metronome, you got a whole bunch of what looks like DJ equipment, a filming slate, whole bunch of stuff. There's some lenses and some art supplies. They crush it under a gigantic, what appears to be a hydraulic press, but I don't know, might be a prop, who knows. And then they lift it back up to reveal the new iPad Pro. Look at it go. Oh my goodness, look. Okay, legitimately looks incredibly
thin. That is
thin,
very
which is pretty darn cool. Yeah. So this has caused a pretty big stir. I'm going to read the notes and then I'm going to kind of give you my take.
Sure.
The commercial features of blah 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 blah. Okay. Apple we'll get to that. The ad was particularly unpopular in Japan, with some people calling it disgusting and evil. A few Japanese commentators connected this revulsion to the traditional Shinto belief that tools and household belongings can come to possess their own kind of soul with the passing of time, and therefore deserve to be treated with a level of dignity and respect. Hugh Grant came out saying, hold on, let me see if I can find... Quote, Apple iPad Pro. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. He called it the destruction of the human experience courtesy of Silicon Valley. So,
just wait till he finds out about AI.
Apple seems, okay, this is from my notes, to have intended this as a metaphor for how all of the functions of these items are included with the iPad. However, others, particularly artists, saw it as a dystopian visual metaphor of an impersonal industrial machine destroying symbols of human creativity. All right. So, here comes the hot take. I'm with Apple on this one. Also, I think Apple is still with Apple on this one. They apologized for it.
And left the ad up.
Because I think the cold, hard truth is that Apple recognizes that this is a storm in a teacup and that people, generally speaking, understood what they were saying. And here's the thing. I get that art is in the eye of the beholder, and the meaning of art can be in the eye of the interpreter, right? And in many cases, there are many examples of art where the writer, be it of a song, or the painter, be it of a painting, goes out of their way to never completely explain what it meant. And that's part of the fun of it, right? Where they're basically like, no, I want you to form your own opinion. I want you to find your own meaning in this. Obviously, it had some kind of meaning to me, or maybe it didn't. Who knows? Obviously, it had some kind of meaning to me, but I want to know what it means to you. So people, if you guys can, examples are escaping me. So Floatplane chat, if you want to hit me with a couple of famous examples of that would be great, just so that everyone can kind of enjoy that. But that's not what this is. Apple has come out and said what they meant by it. So for us to go, well, it meant this other thing, I think is...
What did they say specifically? Is this something you already said? Did I miss it?
Actually, you know what? No, I don't think they did say it. I think probably they thought it was obvious. Sorry, I was going based on our notes. They seem to have intended this as a metaphor for how all the functions of these items are included within the iPad. And to me, that is pretty obvious. Tarantino in that stupid briefcase, says Lucid Lucy. Okay, yes, okay, so there, that's a good example. But yeah, I would have thought that would be pretty obvious. And to me, to take what you were watching and say, oh, well, we don't care about the human artistry of anything anymore is sort of silly, because Apple's not saying, they didn't put humans in a hydraulic press. They put tools in a hydraulic press. And all they were saying was, here's another tool. Here's a tool that does so many of the things this thing does. And I think it's manufactured outrage, basically.
There's a take from someone at Floatplane Chat from a lot earlier in the show, Gurin MKD, that says, Linus, I heard your point on the iPad ad. I think you missed the point of why people are upset. It's tone deaf because the iPad doesn't replace needing a piano, and hold on, let me get to the end. It's tone deaf because the iPad doesn't replace needing a piano or paint or TV or the other things. The iPad isn't able to do the tactile feel and artistic expression from having objects. The iPad is a tool that can support those tasks. Your take that people are upset because the iPad doesn't replace the artist is not the reason why people are upset. Red Bull doesn't give you wings. I don't know. Yeah, it does. It's one thing that's interesting to me is, do we know? Because I've seen some people say so, but I haven't seen any official statements for it. Do we know if it was CGI or real?
I'm not sure.
Because it doesn't look real to me. At least some parts of it, like the when it squishes the face of the thing, the little toy thing. Yeah,
there were things that looked wrong to me, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
So I don't want to... apparently it's CGI with a lot of video posts.
But how do we know that? Because I've seen people say that, but I've only seen random people on in threads say that. I haven't seen any official thing saying that.
So, okay. Avulsion says, Linus, I see your point. However, there's a strong argument that even works with an established intended meaning, where it can have meaning beyond that, which is up to the interpretation of the viewer. And that's fair enough, but getting angry about it isn't really helpful. If someone's intent was not the thing that you see in something, then we have to we have to acknowledge that. We have to kind of go, oh, okay,
yeah.
Well, that immediate emotional reaction that I had was not your intention.
And I think in general, and we've said this when people really like ads and stuff too, is like just have your general like balance and happiness and whatnot a lot less connected to brands. Like when Wendy's and other various brands were running wild on Twitter there for a while, and people were like emotionally invested in like these brands dunking on people. It was like just as cringe, because it's like, dude, it's just marketing. It's just brands. Just ignore it. This isn't like good for you. You're losing the game.
So in general, I think this is much ado about nothing. I think their intended purpose was very clear. I think that we have far more pressing concerns, especially because the iPad has been such an artist's tool. And yeah, you're right. It doesn't replace a piano in the same way that a synth doesn't replace a piano, right? But it absolutely is an instrument of artistic expression. And to deny that would be... I don't know. I think if I use words...
So is your phone. So is
anything.
A rock.
So is a garbage can lid.
Yeah.
Anything can be a tool for artistic expression. And all Apple was trying to say was that this tool for artistic expression can combine metaphorically the functions of everything you see here. They obviously recognize that a Swiss Army knife, okay, is not the world's best knife. Mm-hmm. It is not the world's best pair of tweezers, and it is not the world's best toothpick. In fact, it is not a toothpick at all, because I don't know about you guys, but for me, the toothpick gets lost immediately. Okay, immediately.
It's just garbage.
But that doesn't mean if Swiss Victorinox or whatever, the company that makes Swiss Army knives, if they made a commercial like that, where they took, a shovel and a whatever, and they compressed it all into this Swiss Army knife.
I'd love to see someone dig with this.
Dude, we wouldn't be having the same conversation.
No, probably not. I mean, there's a million other people are linking all of these in Flowplane chat right now. There's a ton of other ads that are like effectively the same thing. Like people posted this one from LG. Where's my thing? Here it is.
Someone's like, by your logic, a firearm could be used as artistic expression. Have you ever seen a firearm with a skin on it? No, seriously.
I
guarantee you someone has tried to draw a picture with a firearm at some point.
Yeah, and people used to do, they still do it, like stipple art on plastic and leathery ones, and they used to do wood engraving.
And look, you might not like
metal engraving. That
form of art. You might not like what they're expressing. What if what they're expressing is their Second Amendment right to bear arms and shoot guns at things? That's human expression. You don't get to just say, well, where's your violin? Like, no, literally anything can be a form of human expression. Yes, even a gun.
Trig said painting firearms is huge in the industry now. Painting firearms has been huge in the industry for
a
long time.
Do you guys remember the video of the guy playing a Christmas song firing a gun? No, I haven't actually seen that. It isn't my point though. It isn't my point.
We're not saying it's good or bad artistic expression. We're saying
it just is, and you don't get to gatekeep it. So yeah, sorry guys, I don't care. I actually fully defend Apple in this case.
Okay, so do you?
They should leave the ad up.
Do you? So you defend them leaving the ad up
100%.
And not apologizing for it?
They did apologize. But they left it up. I'm with them on it.
Do you think it's a good ad? If there was no controversy, Nobody talked about it.
Yeah.
Because nobody talked about the bunch of other ads that are exactly the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's a good ad.
I think their previous ad was better.
Which one?
Someone linked this as well, but I remember this, and I think we even talked about it on WAN Show. But this one. You remember this ad?
What is this? What's a computer?
Yeah.
This is not a better ad.
No?
I don't even know what the I'm looking at right now.
What do you mean?
Like, okay, what? I can draw on it?
Yeah. I think the whole point of this ad was that she can do a lot of the things that you can do on a computer, but she can do it on an iPad. That's all it was.
I guess. It takes a really long time to get to the point.
That's fair.
That is a 68-second ad.
Yeah.
So I guess, okay, hold on. I should clarify then. I don't think it's bad. I think that
You think the compression one is better?
It's struggling to hold my attention.
That's
and
fair.
So the percentage of that I would be likely to watch before clicking skip ad is much lower. Whereas I think that the hydraulic press ad is very much designed for now.
Interesting.
Dun, 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 dun. I don't know what the music playing was. I watched it on mute. But like basically, I'm sure there's some dramatic music. But like something exciting is going to happen.
Right.
And they do a great job of kind of cutting in for dynamic, interesting looking, colorful close-ups. You kind of can't look away from it. And that grippingness, while without being so explicit, that's the other thing. Like that iPad ad, that's something I could have storyboarded. Well, yeah, I don't know. Let's just have a little girl like do a bunch of stuff with it that it does. Like that's not. It says it explicitly, whereas the hydraulic press ad says it implicitly, which maybe was their mistake because it allows people to kind of insert their own narrative here about
you're destroying my
AI.
art.
Yeah, AI destroying art and not having respect for classical instruments of creation, right? But no,
I wanted to compare the views on them because I know this iPad ad actually got 2.3 million views.
Yeah.
But I can't find what's a computer actually posted by Apple.
That's because Apple pulls down their old marketing collateral instead of just leaving it up. In fact, they sent some kind of legal notice to someone who archived all of their old advertising collateral and were basically like, you need to take this down, you need to delete it all. And it's like, sorry, what? Like
that's lame because they've
really
had some cool ads.
Advertising, you guys? You literally pay money to have people watch this, and then you're like, no, don't keep watching it. That's the old one. So to be clear, there's still plenty of things that I think Apple is so far up their own asses about that they will never see the light of day ever again.
Oh yeah.
This commercial just isn't one of them. Why don't we jump into our next topic here? You want to pick it?
People are also pointing out, this is an interesting one, Trig in Flowplane chat is pointing out that the original iPhone 1 commercials do try to make effectively the same point that they're not really because it's not musical instruments, but they're trying to show that the iPhone is replacing lots of different objects. And if you remember, a lot of the marketing around smartphones when they originally came out was you don't have to have all these things anymore, you just have a phone. This is none of these are new marketing points.
Yeah, I think this is one of those things where it just happened to land at a moment of high sensitivity around this subject. And I think
because the AI stuff.
I think that's actually part of why people were so upset about the recent gamer food video as well. So it was right on the heels of one or two high profile channels basically leaving YouTube or paywalling most of their content on their own sites.
Our gamer food video. Okay.
Yeah. So we've been trying to figure out what happened there, and there were definitely some issues in the way that it was messaged, in the way that it was cut.
I did end up watching it, and I do agree.
Yeah, there were issues, but how mad people were, how incredibly angry they were, didn't seem to really match the sin that we had committed, and we were kind of trying to figure out why it was. And it does seem like that was a significant contribution to how upset people were because the wounds were a little raw. And I think that's probably what we're seeing right here. We're seeing open wounds in the artistic community around computers replacing human art. But that isn't what Apple was trying to say at all. Obviously.
Yeah.
The iPad has never...
Not even a little bit.
Has never been... And it could be with, third-party software. You could do generative AI art stuff on it. But that's never been Apple's message. Apple has always positioned their professional tools as for creators of art. And the fact that they had it taking the place of tools for creators of art means that that was the message. These tools, now this tool. And it's so thin. Those other things couldn't possibly hope to fit in this hydraulic press.
Yeah, and
but this sure does.
People in chat, like Monty Hawk is saying, and copyright is going to continue to be bypassed by AI with vague and hidden BS with more scraping of data and theft. Totally. The ad had literally 0% to do with that. This is the thing that we're kind of talking about, is like, we think, and I agree with Linus, it makes sense. We think there's a lot of rage coming from that area attacking this thing, but this thing was saying nothing about AI.
It isn't what Apple is trying to say, obviously, but it is not tone deaf to say when that open wound of AI replacing artists is ongoing. But that's the thing, right? Like, if we know what they're trying to say, and we know that what they're trying to say is not the thing that we're upset about, then what's tone deaf about it? Like, is our response to them tone deaf? Is intentionally. If I know what you're trying to say, and I know that it's not the thing that's upsetting to me, I'm the one being irrational.
Yeah.
If I go, well, I'm going to be mad anyway.
Yeah.
Not them. That's not on them. Intentionally misunderstanding someone, that's fucked up. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
Even for no other reason than it's just a waste of time and energy for yourself.
Yeah.
Just chill.
Why be mad?
It's just some freaking ad.
There's grass, man. Go touch it.
Go touch it.
It's okay. Maybe go touch it with a paintbrush.
That's
there's water.
fun.
There's water restrictions in place. If you can't water it,
if you live around here, it's
get
really
some green
nice
paint
outside these days. Go paint outside.
Get some green paint. Get it on there. Paint your lawn. Took him a while to figure out what I was talking about.
Oh yeah, I thought you were just like fancily telling people to go touch grass. I didn't realize you were like, there's a drought. Go paint your grass green. Oh. Sick.
It's like, wow, condescending much? Okay, Twitch chat, you lost your chat privileges. Sorry.
Go paint your employee's car.
Exactly.
Oh, man.
All right.
I think it's one of those things where it's getting worse because the global stress levels are so high and small perceived slights. Yeah, it's just, that's what we're kind of saying. It's like, you get that, but just relax.
Oh man, there's so many.
It's not worth it.
There's so many like legitimately scary things to be mad about.
Oh yeah.
We should legitimately be upset about the whole like AI generative, like they took our jobs.
There's lots of problems
situation.
There's tons of problems there.
That Apple ad just isn't it.
Yeah.
So why invest the energy in it?
Save it.
And it's like Hugh Grant. Look,
save your strength.
No offense, but when's the last time you made a movie that I wouldn't just watch on my iPad? Boom, roasted.
Hugh Grant, what does he make?
He was actually in that Dungeons and Dragons movie that was very good.
Oh yeah.
I legitimately actually I do enjoy Hugh Grant's
very recently
films. Oh yeah. Oh no, I know. I was just no, I was just courting.
Oh, this is Hugh Grant. Yeah, he's cool.
You don't know actors.
I don't know anybody.
I know. It's sad. Anyway, why don't we move on? Microsoft has been catching. Okay, back to things that you should be mad about. Here's a legitimate channel for that energy.
This could take some action.
Microsoft has suddenly closed three studios that it acquired alongside Bethesda, including Tango Gameworks, the developer of the award-winning and widely praised Hi-Fi Rush, Hi-Fi Rush. How do I pronounce Ausin?
I think that's supposed to be Austin.
Oh, that makes way more sense. Arcane Austin, developer of Prey and Redfall, was another loss, meaning that development of Redfall...
It's Arcane Studios in Austin, Texas. ...is
effectively over, and its promised DLC has been canceled. Purchasers of the Hero Pass, that promised access to this future DLC will instead receive a credit of unknown value.
Neat.
And the studio head at Arcane Austin's sister studio, Arcane Lyon, called the closure a f***ing gut stab. Fans, meanwhile, have been reverse review bombing Hi-Fi Rush with positive reviews in a show of support. According to reporting from Bloomberg, even more Microsoft studios are likely to close in the near future due to a widespread cost-cutting initiative.
There's other reasons as well. Maybe we'll get into them here. I'm not sure.
During a Bloomberg event, Xbox President Sarah Bond gave a non-answer to the question of whether launching a surprise hit game should protect a developer from being shut down, as the camera cut to a wide shot showing a very interesting graph of Xbox's year-over-year growth. Here comes our very interesting graph.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Are you allowed to call it growth? I guess growth could be a negative number. That makes sense.
Xbox Game Studios head Matt Booty also inflamed the controversy when it was reported that he told employees during an internal meeting a day after the closures that Xbox needed smaller games that give us prestige and awards, which is...
The defense that I've heard around that...
Yes.
Is that Hi-Fi Rush was actually a surprisingly large game in the sense of the like cost of development, studio size, and stuff like that. But I would still argue that it outproceeded expectation.
I mean, when we talk about big games these days, we're talking about, quadruple A games. In my mind, honestly though, like when you tell me a big game these days,
you try to compare budgets of it. So
yeah, I'm sitting here going, okay, well, is it Cyberpunk? Is it GTA 6? Like what's a big game? So when you say smaller games, he didn't even say smaller games that give us prestige and awards.
Yeah, I don't know enough about the size of like what was it? Was it Arcane Austin? No, Tango Gameworks. I don't know anything about the size of that, so I can't really compare it. And the whole AAA nomenclature is weird these days anyways, because like what does it even mean anymore?
Yeah,
I heard, I don't remember where I heard this, but I heard that the original naming for that came from like the finance industry, and it was supposed to essentially define games that were like a safe investment because they were like leaning on IPs that people knew would sell and stuff like that. And that's just not what the AAA industry is anymore.
Here's my question. If they're so strapped for cash, could they have just not bought Bethesda?
Bought a bunch of studios? Yeah, I wonder
not even
how
a bunch of studios. Could they have just not bought Bethesda specifically?
I wonder how much of this is specifically the failure of Starfield.
That's an interesting question.
Because I talked about this on the WAN show, I don't know how long ago, but I had a discussion topic. I don't know how we got onto this, but I talked about how I think there were some quotes from the director of publishing from Larian or something in there as well. But I talked about how one of the big problems with these subscription services is that the companies running the subscription services are just going to want games that sell the subscription service.
Yep, and they're going to have their own internal metrics, which probably have deeply flawed aspects of them. Like they're not going to be perfect.
Yep. So they'll do it data-based on whatever, not data-based as in a database.
Yeah, but based on data. Data-driven decision-making.
There we go, yeah. They'll do that, but then what if the data's junk? And I suspect a lot of that data is going to lead them to massive titles that bring in all of the people instead of these small games that, like, someone might subscribe to the service because they're like, I want to play the new Halo or whatever. Sure. But what they actually spend all their time playing, because Halo sucks now, is stuff like Hi-Fi Rush or whatever else. But if they, on their exiting survey and they're the first game they play when they sign up, if those aren't these smaller titles, it might not bring light to them. And if that makes them think, they should be able to see the
playtime though.
Yeah, but if you have a bunch of playtime, I don't know. It totally depends on how they're measuring that data. It also
is. I guarantee you. Look, I don't work at Microsoft. I don't work within the Xbox team, but I guarantee you that there's an element of this that's political as well. Because any time you just have a bucket of money, someone is going to decide what to do with that money. if all of these games were selling on their own individual merit, generating their own revenue, then it would be directly attributable right back to the team that worked on it. Whereas if all of these games are minor contributors to a gigantic bucket of money called Game Pass revenue that someone or someone's is in charge of divvying up, kind of going, okay, so reinvestment-wise, this is going to go into what we think is a good bet over here, and this is going to go into what we think is a good bet over here, just because you made something great last time that contributed a whole bunch of subscribers, a whole bunch of playtime, doesn't necessarily mean that you will be divvied anything.
Yeah.
So it's actually the complete, and what's funny is...
Because what if they don't believe in your vision for your next proposed project?
Then instead of you just automatically having the money for it anyway, because your last project did really well, you could just be rug pulled. And
everything's gone.
And what's funny about this is I remember us having conversations about how subscription services could be a savior for smaller game developers. They and they could have.
And it sort of was for a little bit.
And they could have been, because this idea that instead of feast and famine, where you launch your game, you get a whole bunch of revenue, you squirrel it away like a squirrel saving nuts. Okay, you squirrel it away, and then you kind of ration it out until you can get your next game launched. That wasn't sustainable, right? And so the idea that you could just have a little bit of consistent revenue trickling in on a more regular basis by contributing to this pool of games that people can play, games Netflix style, it all seemed like a pretty happy idea.
Here's another part of the problem. So I don't think this was in the notes, and if I click on the fortune.com article to try to actually get the whole thing, there's a giant ad that I can't get past to pay money to Fortune. So I'm just going to read off of the Google search result for it. But it says, speaking about the closures more broadly, Booty said that the company's studios had been spread too thin, like peanut butter on bread, which I thought was a really weird analogy for spread too thin, but sure. And that leaders across the division had felt understaffed, and they decided to close these studios to free up resources elsewhere. So they bought all these things,
right?
Didn't have the like
plan,
high level leadership to manage all these sub studios now, and then we're just like, and closed it. What a waste. Like there's like Embracer Group just like bought a bunch of stuff and then closed them, and Microsoft just bought a bunch of stuff and closed them. Like, this isn't going to make people get interested in your other garbage games that you're releasing. It's just going to create more people buying other stuff unrelated to you. Like, if we look at a lot of the really big successes as to late, they have not been big Microsoft titles.
What about Halo Infinite?
It's just not working. Like, the buy them and close them model is not going to be effective. I pretty much guarantee.
And I gotta kind of wonder, right? Like bean counters, If your bean counting calculation goes, okay, this bean costs $1 billion. Okay, so you buy it for $1 billion.
Nice.
And then you basically go, okay,
bean. It's a solid bean right there.
Okay. Let's throw away this bean.
I can fit so much fiber in that bean.
Yeah. What's your plan? Like, how did that make it past? How did that make it past the? That old meme format where the guy gets like hucked out of the window of the boardroom. Like, how
did it make it past that guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually don't get it. And to be clear, it's not like as a company we've never overextended ourselves and been in a position where, having twice as many people is actually less efficient, right? Like, it's not like we aren't at a size where I get that.
Growth has pains.
But you don't have to buy things.
And they closed it so fast. They didn't buy Bethesda that long ago.
No.
Like, it's very quickly.
No.
My goodness. Oh, man.
But throwing away the bean is a tax write-off. Drop table employees in float plane chat, you're banned. I'm kidding. You're not banned.
I do wonder, like, how much of this is just like stock minor stock manipulation or like trying to appease stockholders at all. Like, because if they have all these studios, like, is it better from a stockholder's perspective or someone potentially purchasing a stock? This is stuff I am not good at, don't know a lot about. So just big warning before people get pissed off. From that perspective, is it better for them to just focus on future revenue than care about what's in the bank right now? And I think yes, right? So they can spend fairly recklessly to like buy studios as long as they're sharpening the sword for the future. Is that how the like capitalist stock market perspective goes?
So what you want, if you are an acquisition company, which at a certain point
they are,
every company is, you're essentially just, when's the last time Microsoft invented anything? And you can basically say that about any gigantic multi-hundreds of billions of dollars company. Some of them do. They
just buy small companies.
They do very real research and development, but a lot of the time they're out there acquiring.
They buy OpenAI.
They're acquiring. So at a certain level, pretty much every company is an acquisition company. So they take capital from shareholders, from investors, and they use that capital to buy something that has recurring revenue. Then they basically just need to maintain whatever their target balance of revenue to operational expenses is. And if they don't, then their share price crashes, their creditworthiness tanks, and they are in enormous trouble because they have a bunch of debt, right? Because they needed that investment in order to make those acquisitions.
Yeah.
So it becomes this wheel that they have to keep running on to constantly show a really high operating income, which is that operating revenue minus operational expenses calculation. And so what they might do is buy something, and then if it doesn't immediately spin the money machine fast enough by shedding it, well, a penny saved is a penny earned.
Yeah.
And from an investor standpoint, the minor details, like the amount of money that they had to spend to reach that number on a quarter by quarter basis, doesn't really matter as long as they find some other thing to acquire that like does more better, or some other thing that does whatever. It's just effectively cost of doing business. There is no human element to any of this. And that's why you see decisions like this being made. That's why you see this level of recklessness, or callousness, I guess, is probably the better word. The example of Tesla just laying off their supercharging.
Does that change, though? Because they bought Bethesda for like around 10% of just the cash on hand that they had. So I don't know. I mean, it was probably still done as some debt purchase because whatever. But
I guess what I'm trying to say is that immediate loss on Bethesda doesn't really matter as long as they maintain that ratio.
This is what I was trying. This was also the point that I was effectively trying to make.
I see.
Like, does spending the money effectively not matter? And then they try to sharpen the sword afterwards. So like the purchase of studios from these large companies means honestly next to nothing.
Yeah. Like it's and they can play an extremely long game as long as they don't run out of capital. Like I think I've talked about this before, but one of my friends has an independently owned veterinary practice, and she was talking to me about the nightmare that it was to be bidding on the veterinary practice that she worked at. So she worked there. She started as an employee and is now the owner. But her journey there was arduous. And as she was reaching the final stages of her negotiation to purchase the veterinary practice, the problem was that she was bidding against a large, you could call them a veterinary company, but remember what I just said, any company, once it's large enough, is just an acquisition company. So what they really are an acquisition and holding company that happens to focus on investments into veterinary practices because it's a space that they are deeply invested in, which can come with strategic advantages, which I'll get to in a second. And so the problem that she had was typically you would value a business on some multiple of their earnings before something, I forget, whatever. It's called EBITDA. So, let's say 3 to 5x for a business that's not expected to experience any kind of explosive growth. And what that essentially means is, let's say that number was $10 million. I would expect to buy your veterinary practice that makes $2 million a year. I would expect to buy it for somewhere between $6 and $10 million. And the idea is that if I continue to run it well, I will make back my $6 to $10 million in 3 to 5 years. And if it's a business that's expected to grow, then you would expect a higher multiplier, because if I run it competently, well, it should grow, and I should make my money back in an even shorter period of time. And you can see much, much higher EBITDAs in fields like tech, where they're expecting this company to explosively grow in the next 2 years to the point where they might get that return in, 18 months, right? Well, a veterinary practice isn't like that. They're
probably going to be pretty consistent.
You might see steady growth,
unless everyone buys pets because of COVID or something like that. That there's no way you can see it coming.
But there's only so many operating rooms. There's only so many dogs you can cut open at a time, and so there's kind of limits.
Sad but true.
Yes, there's kind of limits to how much it can grow.
Yeah.
And so somewhere in the 3 to 4 to 5x range is probably reasonable for something like that. But what she was up against was a company that was bidding about double that, and she's looking at it going, this makes no real sense. Like the cost, I have to have debt in order to. I don't have that kind of money sitting in the bank. It's millions of dollars. What, even a vet, right? Like they don't have millions of dollars of cash in the bank. It doesn't work like that. Like you have to take on debt in order to make an acquisition like that. And so how does this make any sense? The amount of interest I'm going to be paying, right? So. But she's up against a group that is playing such a long game.
They just don't even care.
That they don't care.
They want
about the
effectively
immediate
monopolistic
return.
ownership of all the veterinary practices in the general areas
that
they're operating in.
They're playing such a long game, and their shareholders don't care about that big hit to the balance sheet this quarter. What they care about is the money machine.
What's the path? Churning
out consistent income. And then once there's nothing else to acquire, well, they still have to have that go up. So what they do is, well, now that they control all the veterinary practices in the Vancouver area, they jack up the prices. And that's the end game. It destroys everything. And the reality of it is that regulators are not going to get involved in community veterinary practices, because it's not a monopoly in the strictest sense of the word. It's anti-competitive, sure, but I mean, realistically, when there are so much bigger battles to fight, like the $400 Band-Aid that might end up on your invoice at a hospital, for example. What? So like your dog's broken leg cost you more because some company owns all the vet? Like, I'm sorry, I don't have time for this.
Like, it's something that would be nice if they pursued, and I'm happy that these days they do seem to be doing roughly anything. But yeah, there might be bigger fish.
So so basically, yeah, that's the long and short of it. They don't care because they don't care, because it just doesn't matter to them. Which really sucks. So the good news for my friend who owns the practice is that Dr. Smith is a good guy. One of those people who actually puts people above money, and took the human offer.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's actually really good to know.
Yeah. So if you guys are ever need help with,
and don't assume most people are going to do that either.
No, most
people would take the big offer.
And you can tell yourself all day. You can tell yourself all day and night, I would take it. I would take the human offer.
And then the offer's on the table.
And then there's literally
millions
of dollars at stake. It's in front of you. The document is there. All you have to do is sign it.
Pretty much no one's going to know that you did this.
Most people will sign it.
Yeah.
But it was pretty cool. So Dr. Smith, super cool.
Good job,
and
Dr. Smith.
shout out my friend Cindy from Fraser Heights Animal Hospital. Really, really good person. Yeah, she's super cool. So if you guys, I don't think they don't do birds, unfortunately, for Luke.
Yeah.
They specialize in dogs and cats. But
our vet is actually they're very nice people. They're just really far away. That's the main annoying part.
We're supposed to explain and do 2 merch messages, shall we?
Yeah. You want me to do it?
Yeah, why don't you do it?
You
for
always
a change?
do it.
I know.
Merch messages are the premier way of sending messages into the show.
Like that.
There are others, and they are inferior. This is the way to do it. You get stuff. Could you buy a gift card? Yes, if you really just wanted nothing, but you should probably, get something for your message that you choose to send into the store.
Yeah.
If you choose to do so, you can go onto the store, pick an item, add it to your cart, view your cart, and there you go. On the cart page, you can see the merch message. You can check the little box. I would like my purchase to appear as a merch message on the LTT stream, and then leave whatever message you want to leave. You can pick your little color. You can do all that type of stuff. You can make it anonymous if you want, etc. And then either you'll say bad things that we don't want to show up on the show, and we'll hide it, and it will never be shown to anyone, or Dan will read it and go like, I can respond to that. And he'll respond to it through text, and then it will show up on the bottom of the screen where this banner currently is. It'll show your message, and then it will show Dan's response, or one of the, or Linus or myself will do a text response, or it will be selected as a discussion question for Linus and I and Dan potentially to discuss live on the show. That's
Dark 24 on Float Plane says, I hate stuff. I just want to buy words. Hey, good news. You're subscribed to Floatplane.
Yeah, you did it. Good job.
You succeeded. You found the place where we will take your money to have colorful your name in colorful words.
Yeah.
Oh, and also, behind the scenes and all that kind of cool stuff. We do have some updates on the store. So we finally brought back some of our classic t-shirts. RAM, hard drive, processor, and GPU are all back. That's right, my friends.
The processor shirt is so sick.
We even retook photos, and this is really funny. Maria sent me this earlier today. She was like, dude, I don't know how you did this.
Is it exactly the same?
But your picture looks exactly the same. Oh, okay. This goes to the same one every time. Okay, hold on. I'll get this.
This man has practice.
Yeah, your hands are in slightly different positions, but they're very similar.
Yeah, she was like, dude,
wow.
What?
The head is like identical.
This is not like Photoshop. These are not these are two completely different pictures taken like a couple minutes apart. Where I walked off the photo set, changed my shirt, walked back, stood there, and absolutely nailed it.
That's awesome.
So yeah,
get over Elijah's a breaking news. Linus looks like Linus. That's not the point, Elijah.
Xavier says
exact same pose.
Xavier says the wrinkles are different.
My goodness.
In the shirt. The shirt
These are
wrinkles
the people that didn't like the Apple ad.
The shirt wrinkles are different.
I know what they meant. It wasn't the shirt wrinkles. It was the real ones. Don't make me go get more procedures.
Oh my goodness.
No, I'm done.
All right, actual merch message time. Dan, hit us.
Yeah.
Sure. Hey,
wait, hold on. There's a few notes. There's a few notes. These are printed on our old American Apparel blanks, apparently.
Oh, what?
And the hard drive and RAM shirts are still being printed, so shipping for those will be a little bit delayed. Limited quantities available. Oh, I see. So we're just blowing away some leftover American Apparel shirt stock. Okay, cool. I mean, the American Apparel shirts, they were good enough for us to sell for many years.
Good shirts.
I do like our new ones better, but
yeah.
But hey.
But they're good shirts.
Classic designs. Let's go. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Hey, lentil, lungs, and door. I've noticed that the last few... These are getting really weird. I've noticed that the last few handheld PC videos haven't mentioned the Steam Deck much. Is that because it's not a good comparison because of price or performance?
What it isn't is an apples to apples comparison. The Steam Deck is an incredible console, but for the same reason that I wouldn't necessarily talk about the Nintendo Switch in the same breath as every new handheld PC, I also am beginning to view the Steam Deck in a bit of a different light. It is priced very aggressively, which is amazing. It offers a very console-like experience where instant wake, instant sleep are integral to the experience. It's a fantastic console, but much like a console, its library is a little bit more limited, and a lot of it's not Valve's fault. It's due to whether it's the developer of the game or the developer of the anti-cheat. It's down to developers either refusal or unwillingness to build Linux support into their games. I guess it's mostly that, but it's just a different product. It's an amazing product. The OLED version, oh man, the screen on it is just incredible. But I also have a tendency to lean on my own experiences when I'm evaluating products. And the reality of it is that ROG Ally won. I don't daily drive a Steam Deck because for me, the trade-offs, the things that I give up for being on Windows are not worth what I gain by being on a Steam Deck. Of course, these are devices that, one of each is sitting in the warehouse, so I don't have to necessarily consider the price.
I was just going to say, if you're covering it now, but the Steam Deck is significantly cheaper.
Yeah, the Steam Deck is an amazing piece of hardware. It's also not as performant as the latest handheld PCs. And that's part of the trade-off.
When did it launch?
It's been a minute, dude.
Yeah.
It's been a few years at this point, I think, because it was 2020?
I know it when it was announced, we were doing WAN Show remotely.
It did not launch in 2022, did it? Oh my goodness, it's 2024. Okay. Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay, so my problem there wasn't that I didn't realize how long ago the Steam Deck launched. I didn't realize what year it was. What is time?
It's current year.
Oh, anyway, wow, that's scary. So, Nokia asks, do you feel Proton OS has matured enough to be competitive as an OS? I don't know. Maybe if Steam ever actually fucking released the bloody thing, we'd be able to have a conversation about that. Sorry. You've touched a bit of a nerve because I've been putting off the Linux Challenge V2 for the release of SteamOS. And every time I ask those guys, hey, how's it going? They're like, we're on it. And I'm like, right. But that's not what I asked. I asked, can it be on my computer? Not are you on it? And it just keeps not appearing. And I get it. Valve's I was going to say busy company, but they've got some stuff going on. No, they got stuff going on.
Making lots of money.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm willing to bet that they have some wild skunkwork stuff.
Probably. Who knows if they'll ever release it?
Well, I suspect
they're just too busy making tons of money.
I don't know anything
and evaluating the absurd amount more money than they make than all the other companies.
I don't know anything about the internal workings of Valve. Okay?
Other than that, they make disgusting amounts of money.
I've never worked there. But what I suspect, based on everything I've seen out of these guys, is that they probably build more products than they actually release.
Oh, I'm sure. They'd be bored. They're making all this money. They might as well do something.
By a significant margin. Mm-hmm. I mean, did you see the rig that they built for that Steam Deck OLED commercial? Where they built that sphere out of Steam Deck OLED screens?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, it's wild. It is peak because we can.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
100%.
They might as well spend all that money on something.
There was absolutely no reason whatsoever for them to do that practically like that. They could have come up with any other concept for a commercial, but they did that because somebody was like,
That'd be cool. That'd be neat. Can we afford it? Easily. Just send it.
Man, I really wish those guys would hurry up and get a flippin' Index 2 going here, because there have been some advancements in lens technology and in screen technology that I'm sure Valve has been doing stuff with. They just won't give me my new headset. Really want it.
More, please.
So yeah, Steam Deck, super cool. It'll definitely be back in the conversation around Steam Deck 2. We definitely will, bring it up. I mean, the ROG Ally X. People are talking about that. Apparently, there's a leak or something.
Yeah, I think that's a topic in here. Actually, the ROG Ally X. I don't think it's like a huge jump though. A little bit more battery life. I think it's like to be fair, they're naming it fairly properly for this, but I think it's like kind of like a pro model, not a generational leap, if that makes sense.
Yeah, should we jump into that, and then we'll do the other merch message?
We can do that, sure. ROG Ally X. Asus has teased the ROG Ally X, which they claimed is somewhere between a sequel to the original Ally and a revision of it. Featuring a new black color, the X will sport larger battery life, allegedly way more than 30 to 40% more capacity?
I doubt it. It's probably something more like that.
It's probably like 30 to 40% capacity. I think this is written as allegedly way more, like 30 to 40% more capacity. That's what I'm assuming it is. Anyways, SVP, what does that mean?
Senior Vice President.
Cool. Sean Yen hinted at The Verge that the new handheld would give at least 3 hours of battery life playing intensive games. However, the device will be slightly heavier because of said larger battery. Asus says the Ally X should have more than the 16 gigs of RAM the Ally Non-X currently has, and it will apparently be repairable with redesigned joystick modules that are more interchangeable. So just the joysticks are repairable?
That sounds pretty cool. I mean, that's something.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It will feature an M.2 2280 slot rather than the 2230 SD
So if you
slot.
want to throw like an 8 terabyte SSD because you enjoy having an SSD that costs
COD games
3 times as much as your computer.
Asus still won't admit that the Ally's SD card reader had any fault, but the Ally X will have a rearranged motherboard layout that will just happen to move the SD card slot away from the vents.
Interesting.
However, the screen will be exactly the same, and so will the AMD Z1 or Z1 Extreme APU. The Steam Deck OLED, this is not. So yeah, that makes sense. More battery life, which is fair.
I understand it. So, a Steam Deck OLED, this is not.
Isn't that what I said?
Yeah, sure. Kind of, yeah. Anyway, but yes. So it will apparently not be getting an OLED screen. Okay, coming on June 2nd.
Yeah.
Our discussion question here is: what other upgrades would you have liked to see? I can't comment on anything
so soon.
other than what's in here. I mean, I wouldn't have minded seeing more performance, but I guess more battery life is also pretty good. I would have liked to see another USB-C port. I'm
honestly surprised they have a revision already.
On my trip to Japan, I had this brilliant idea that on the plane, my kids could play like multiplayer games with this portable. I grabbed one of the screens. It happens to be an Asus like ROG portable monitor. So I grabbed one of the ones out of my car, and I brought it with me so that they could put it in the middle seat and sit 3 abreast, and then play games together, and I could run them off the Ally. And I was like, man, that would be sick. And so I brought a USB-C cable, and I plugged it between the Ally and the monitor, and went, oh, hold on a second. It's not like this monitor supports power delivery. How on earth am I going to charge this? Did I bring a micro HDMI to USB-C adapter? No, then I still couldn't charge. Oh, dude. So
now you need like a dock.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. And I didn't think to bring a dock. It's completely on me, but the difference maker would have been if it just had 2 USB-C ports, like so many other handhelds do. So I would love to see that. That's something that has affected me personally. But other than that, I don't know. I mean, I'd love to see Hall effect joysticks. I guess the
Is that what they
repairability
said?
might help a little bit. No, I'm just
Okay.
I was asked what I would like to see.
Yeah.
I can only comment on what's written here because who knows what I might or might not know.
Faster, better, stronger is cool. It's a portable device. You could hope basically everything would be better. I'm surprised there's a revision already. That's all. Because how long is the Ally is quite a bit newer than the Steam Deck.
No, the Steam Deck's huge.
No. More recently released.
Oh.
So it was released June 13th, 2023. So it's been less than a year and they're revising it already. That's pretty fast in the device realm.
Well, I mean, that's the IT industry cycle, though. And that's, again, something that makes the Steam Deck feel a lot more console-like to me, is it's very clearly on a more console-like refresh cycle. I mean, it's still, Steam Deck is still RDNA 2, isn't it? I think, or RDNA 2, excuse me, Zen 2? I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, even though Zen 3 was coming and we're already on Zen 4 now, like they could, if they were just, using a random APU out of AMD's product catalog, then they could easily be revising it. But it's clear that Valve is serious about treating it like a console where they lock in the spec and they build performance targets for various games. They build profiles, and it's not just a PC where you're expected to just kind of tinker around with your graphics sliders. You can, because man, Valve is pretty chill about that kind of stuff. Like, why don't you play around with your power profile, and why don't you play around with all these settings? But they're obviously trying to create a console-like experience.
Okay.
Second merch
We're
message.
technically jumping to a second merch message
Hit me.
now.
Oh, we're still on time. Let's see. Hey, DLL. I was recently thrust into a manager position after the sudden ousting of my boss. We have a team of 50 people. Any tips for dealing with employees who make the same mistakes over and over?
Fire them. I'm actually kidding, because it's not that simple. I mean, people make mistakes. I make mistakes. What are the marriage divorce statistics? Divorce rates.
Close to 50%.
Divorce rates USA. After
A lot of that is repeat offenders, as far as I know, though.
The overall trend in we're not going to be able to. The point is that people make mistakes. They make them over and over and over again. It is a serious strain on the relationship.
So apparently first marriages is around 40 to 50%, and second marriages is around 60 to 67%.
Yeah, there you go. So if your hope is to build a team of people that are not going to make mistakes over and over and over again, and the reason that I'm bringing up marriages is that's probably the relationship in our lives that is most committed, and I'm not talking like a parent-child relationship. I'm talking voluntary relationships. This is probably the relationship in our lives that is most committed, at least on paper, and it is one that we clearly allow the day-to-day issues that we deal with trying to work as a team. Sorry, I keep gesturing at Luke, but maybe Yvonne is somewhere over there. It's one where we clearly allow the day-to-day issues that we encounter when we're trying to work together as a team to destroy. And that rate of destruction is something like, well, apparently, 30 to 65% or something like that. So with that in mind, if you build a team that is 3 people, odds are you're going to want to divorce one of them in some period of time.
Yeah.
So you just have to find ways.
Polyamorous people are just in shambles right now.
I don't know how you guys do it. I mean, look, I'm not judging. The relationship style that works for me might not work for you, and what works for you today might not work for you tomorrow. What works for me now might not work for me later. This stuff is it's fluid, and it's all cool. I have no judgment here. There's a zero judgment zone, but
Sounds like a lot of
I
work.
have no idea how you do it. Maintaining one relationship is like, and to be clear, that Yvonne's great. Like, dude, like I'm extremely lucky, but man, relationships take work. Like if I had 2 Yvonnes in my life, I'd be like,
things would be so incredibly well planned and organized, though.
that's true. But what if one of them planned it one way
Oh no!
and the other organized it another way, and there was a conflict?
Just gotta step back. Just gotta step back. You gotta retreat.
No, there's no way. No, there's no way. I mean, I don't want them both dead. I mean, yeah, one of them might win, but the other would be definitely, in pieces too. Yeah, like they wouldn't be alive for long.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's you don't thunder don't.
Unstoppable force and immovable object.
What
were we talking
were we talking about? Right. How to manage a team where people make the same mistakes.
Yeah. Evaluate the mistake. See how bad it is.
Coach
if this is a super bad thing, work on coaching it. If you can't coach it and it doesn't stop, at a certain point, he was not serious when he mentioned it, but at a certain point, you do have to let people go.
But there's a lot of steps that you can take on the way. I mean, you can put together a performance improvement plan, lay out very clear guidelines.
Clearly communicate. That's a big thing. They have to know way ahead of time that this, if not fixed, could result in a firing or whatever else, and give them updates on how well they're doing, check in with them on stuff, see how, if they're implementing things to fix it, try to help them implement things, try to come up with ideas for them to implement solutions to try to help them progress on this problem. If they never do, maybe this just isn't the right job for them.
And good thing you didn't marry them.
Yeah.
And you know what? They might be awesome. And they might be super successful in another role somewhere else.
Totally.
But sometimes the healthier thing for both people in a relationship. And you know what? Working together is a relationship. It's not a relationship in the same sense that, a marriage is a relationship, but a friendship is a relationship. Being colleagues is a relationship. They're at different levels, obviously, but sometimes a relationship is just not working for both parties. Yeah. And the better thing is to have it not be to not be in that relationship anymore.
Yeah. I don't know. But just
read some books.
Try to avoid it. That's also very helpul.
Yeah,
I got
for
a lot
real.
of stuff from reading books.
Read.
But yeah, just make sure it's not a surprise. That's my big thing. Work with them. Try to really heavily communicate. Don't just blindside them. Give them the chance to receive that feedback and improve.
And like any relationship, don't let things build up and then explode at them because that's not helpful for anybody.
Yeah. On either side.
Timely feedback is really, really important. And it can be hard because, I'm sorry, did you say you have 50 reports?
That's too many.
That's way too many. That is like 3 to 4 times
I'm hoping
too many.
that they are one of the managers of 50
It's
people.
4 to 5 times too many, actually. It's doing the math here. Like, that is way too many people.
Too many.
So if that's the idea, then good luck. Shraf 2K says, the idea of any company ever starting a pip in earnest is laughable. As a company that has definitely used pips with success to rehabilitate relationships, you're wrong.
I think they are often misused.
Oh, 100%.
So I'm sure maybe Sharf has had one of the misused against them before or knows someone where that's happened or whatever. A PIP is a performance improvement plan, which is essentially a extremely direct form of communication of, hey, this thing is not being done up to standard. This is exactly what the standard should look like.
This is exactly where the shortfalls are, and this is the timeline during which there needs to be an improvement.
Yeah. So it's just a super, super documented and very direct form of that communication, which theoretically, in my opinion, you should have softer forms of communication before getting there. But it is absolutely a step along the chain. And there's people that can get there and then come all the way back and do well and just move on from it. And there's people that will fail the PIP and then it is what it is. But there are companies that use pips to just fire people with documentation, which is not how they should be used. They should be used to try to solve a problem. So I think they're often misused, which is why they have the bad rap that they have.
Yeah, no, 100%. They deserve the bad rap, but that doesn't mean that every company is monstrous and just uses them as a paper trail to fire people.
Yeah.
Elijah's had 12 pips already. That's what he says in chat. At least he was on the ball enough to put a /s on it this time.
Yeah.
We've had to have a lot of conversations recently about just like jokes that we kind of can't make anymore because people don't seem to understand that they're jokes, or at least a percentage of the viewer base doesn't seem to understand when things are a joke. I actually forget what one from Writers Meeting was today, but I had to have just kind of a downer conversation with everyone where it was like, look, that's a title that some time ago I would have said, yeah, that's hilarious.
Now people are going to take it seriously.
And yeah, I get talked to the most about jokes. No, actually, you don't. Yeah, it was like it was one of those jokes that was like, I've made a huge mistake, or
yeah,
I never
just posted it.
Yeah. The title was "We Made a Big Mistake," and unfortunately, we're in an environment now where a significant number of people, enough people that it seems to affect sentiment towards our company, will read that headline and go, oh, those guys made a mistake again.
Yeah. Yeah.
When it's just a title, calm the fuck down. It's just a title of a video. You think that by the time we title the video, like we didn't problem solve the steps, like we didn't figure some stuff out, like it's a mechanism to draw people into the video, right? And like, oh man, Plouffe committed a sin today. He didn't do anything wrong, and it's the same thing where some period of time ago I'd have been like, that's hilarious. Let's do that as our intro. But a significant number of people, just whether it's sort of a lack of social awareness or whether it's whether it's just
problems.
whether it's just a current environment problem where what's real and what's a joke is just
so blurry,
not really clear anymore.
No truth anymore.
The intro that he had written was for we did another AliExpress shopping spree video where 5 people were basically told, okay, it's a competition to buy the weirdest computer component on AliExpress.
That's fun.
And
like that.
It is. Yeah, it's totally fun. And so he had this intro written for it that was like something, and their job is basically to waste my money. Wait, what? How much of my money did you waste? And Plouffe loves that shit. Like, he thinks that stuff's hilarious because, I mean, as the primary shareholder of Linus Media Group, that effectively when he blows money on like a shitty paint job for his car, he's like, yeah, let's go. Like,
got him.
Like that's his sense of humor, right?
Yeah.
And Jake tends to be one of the ones that leans pretty hard into that as well because he genuinely just thinks it's funny. And then you get these people that are like, yeah, you can tell the way Linus's staff talks about money that he's like such a miser and like that there's a ton of pressure on them, and they're trying to read these like psychological cues on people's faces, and you're just sitting here going like,
yeah, because if that was the case, we'd let that go through editing. Like,
yeah,
like if there was that much corruption, it just wouldn't show up on the camera.
And I would sign the purchase approval.
Yeah.
Like
what are you talking about?
You think
have some game sense.
But there's a significant enough portion of the audience that we just like we can't
like the L is for narcissist thing.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
I don't think it would make it into the edit today.
But the problem is that it did, and then people took it super, super, super seriously. Like, what do you think happened? Like, once it gets ingested into the camera, it just like must show up on YouTube.
And
like,
then what's really funny? What's really funny to me about it is that a joke like that is allowed in the video, and then people still are under the impression that I'm some kind of thin-skinned
draconian.
Yeah, and I'm kind of sitting here going like, When did
Thought it was
humor?
funny because it was funny. It was good. It was a good joke. Good joke.
Yeah. When did humor become such a serious thing?
I had never even seen it, and then it like came up. I was talking to Dan or something, and it came up, and I went back and watched it, and just it immediately got me hard. I burst out laughing.
It was hilarious.
The delivery on it was great.
It was hilarious.
Very funny. And then it just, people just take it like a billion miles too
and
far.
like the very best sort of, I'd say I appreciate a dry cutting joke. And like the very best cutting jokes, there's a little bit of truth in it.
Sure.
I think to be a YouTuber, I think to be a social media personality, you don't necessarily have to be to a disordered level, but like anything, self-absorption is going to be on a spectrum, and you have to obviously reach a point where you make a binary decision.
You need some degree of it's all about me to put your face on camera.
Exactly. You reach this decision point where you go, I should talk about myself on the internet, and other people should find it interesting.
I can make a career out of this.
Exactly. People should be supportive of my efforts to talk about my damn self on the internet, right? Like there has to be a little bit of that.
And there's also the self-awareness of that too.
But like
I don't know.
I don't think people.
It's funny.
I don't think people
Laugh.
necessarily see that. I think I've talked about this on the WAN Show before, where I will often joke about saying, do you even know who I am? Because what's funny to me is that no, they don't. The vast majority of people do not. I am not.
You're not specifically into computers. It's like
I am not Mr. Beast.
Yeah.
Like I could walk into the average high school, and if I happen to be walking past the computer lab when the bell rings, I'm going to get a couple of those. But that is not the level of fame that I have. And if I get a speeding ticket, for example, no, I am not going to be getting out of my speeding ticket because people like my fucking tech tips. That is actually not how this works. That's the joke. Do you even know who I am? No. And we're both in on it. But that seems to have become a narrative about me in certain circles. And I'm just like, all right, sure. Wait, what? You can't get out of speeding tickets? No, believe it or not, I have never successfully gotten out of a speeding ticket by being me. And before you ask, no, I've never brought up that I am me.
It'd be really funny.
Because it would not matter.
If I was in the passenger seat, it would be hilarious.
Like, I'm imagining this right now. Hi, officer. I mean, surely we can come to an understanding here. Like,
what if I put you in the credits of the next video?
Yeah. Do you know this face? Do you know who I am? No. Okay, but you got a tech savvy nephew. You got a tech savvy nephew.
You call him really quick.
Call him up. Tell him who you got in the car right here, and then tell me you're still going to give me. I mean, come on. Then again, back to the whole what's real and what's not. It's not like we don't see TikToks and YouTube videos day in, day out of people actually fucking behaving
doing
like
that kind
that.
of stuff. Yeah.
But that's so I don't blame people. No, really though. It's not unbelievable. They don't know me personally. They don't observe me in my daily life.
This is fair. I'm still allowed to be annoyed that we can't make jokes.
Oh yeah, me too.
Both sides are fair, I think.
Me
I think
too.
we can be annoyed that we can't make jokes, and we can understand why we can't make jokes.
Dude, it's sad. I like playing the role of the kind of incompetent ignoramus who is discovering something because at some point I didn't know. And at some point it was really exciting to learn it. And channeling that is one of the easiest ways for me to get amped up about something. And I've always loved
it's not so much of an act. because at one point in time you were excited.
Exactly. And I've always loved putting myself in a position to have something explained to me by my on-camera co-host or by another member of the tech
subject matter expert of some kind
of the tech YouTube space or a subject matter expert. I have intentionally put myself in these positions time and time and time again, even though a lot of the f***ing time I wrote the goddamn script,
or at least part of it. Yeah.
But people don't seem to understand that the actor is not necessarily exactly who they play on TV. And you know what? I do make mistakes sometimes. And sometimes I make them by accident. A lot of the time when I goofus something on camera, yeah, it's on purpose. I knew it was going to happen, or I knew there was a very solid chance that it was going to happen, and I thought it was funny or interesting. But I do make mistakes. And I think that this is one of those things where I have a family member that often says stuff that is just astronomically stupid. And one of the things that he does is he'll do it on purpose, just often enough that when he says something really stupid, he can say, right, but I was doing that thing I do where I say something really stupid. And so knowing someone like that, I can see how people would think it's that. But no, I'm just a little bit stupid.
It's the old troll argument.
Yeah.
Where people are like, where even is it? Where people are just actually and they're, I was just trolling.
Yeah.
And then they'll like actually troll in like fun ways sometimes.
Yeah.
Then every once in a while they'll go like way too far, but then just try to fall back on the excuse. And it's like, no, dude,
you're actually
you're just
mean.
a loser. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
you're
get
just
out of here.
actually mean and people don't like you.
No one wants you to be around.
Got him. What are we even supposed to be talking about right now?
I was just going to ask that.
Nice. Okay, let's do a topic.
Switch to?
What do you guys want to hear about? Yeah, is announcing that you're going to have an announcement, but you're not going to announce what you're announcing, is that even newsworthy?
There is
fine.
Just supplier leaks. So, okay,
fine.
Nintendo announced that it will be announcing the successor to the Switch. So we need to discuss what we think it might be called within this fiscal year, which means by the end of March 2025. Oh, fiscal year. Yeah, okay. Nintendo has also said that their June Nintendo Direct will focus on titles for the current console set. Oh, set to come out on the second half of the year. Paper launch, ? The company president recently told investors that it's not including Switch 2 sales in its forecast for the same period, implying the console will launch sometime after the end of March. A recent massive spec leak based on shipping manifests, which is usually a pretty solid one indicator of what it will actually be, indicated that the console features 12 gigs of LPDDR5X memory.
That's pretty aggressive.
On the memory side, yeah. 256 gigs of UFS 3.1 storage and an 8-inch display. The Switch OLED, for example, is 7 inches. And an NVIDIA Tegra 23.9. Same one spotted in many past Switch 2 leaks, which is the slightly sad part for me because some of these leaks for this processor are old.
Yeah, it's Ampere based is my understanding of it. But Ampere's okay. Ampere and my understanding again is that it's not pure Ampere. So I think some of the stuff is newer, like it might have newer AI stuff. So the upscaling on this thing might be awesome.
Pretty good.
And when you consider in Nintendo's typical visual style, upscaling should work really well.
I like skipped 3000 series. Did they have DLSS specifically?
Yeah. Yeah, 2000 series.
Because that's like the future of all the things.
2000 series was when they introduced all the AI stuff and ray tracing stuff.
Got more refined with 3000.
And then 3000 series was when it got usable.
Yeah.
So you wanted to talk about naming for this.
Yeah.
Why?
Because Nintendo's pulled some weird stuff out in the past.
Oh, I see. So is it going to be like
Wii
Switch
to Wii U? Or there's been some like
NES to Super NES.
DS stuff
which
where
was
they had
like...
They literally called one of them New.
Yeah, that was weird, dude.
So like they've really pulled some stuff out. So like, is this the new Switch?
Yeah, that's funny. We make fun of Microsoft a lot for their console names.
Way worse.
And well, I don't know about worse, but they're definitely equally bad. Can we agree they're equally bad?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We agree they're equally bad.
The reason why I said way worse is I had flashbacks to Nom of the Wii U launch.
Like some of it's kind of made sense. Like the Game Boy
bad.
Advance is definitely better than a Game Boy. And it's like kind of Game Boy like.
Game Boy SP was weird.
Yeah, DS Lite made sense.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Wasn't it actually like a performance jump as well?
I don't remember, but it was lighter.
But it was LITE.
Yeah. Light.
Yeah.
Like
I wasn't a huge fan of that one because I thought it was like actually a
3DS made sense.
3DS was pretty good.
DS, but 3D.
3DS was pretty good.
Too Switch, too furious, says Nil Pointer. We could just let chat help us out here. Switch Pro would be interesting. Switch Advance. I'd be down for Switch Advance.
I would also be down with Switch Advance.
It's a Switch, but it's with more Switch than ever before. I'd be into that. Switch Up. I mean, with the whole
I think
Switch Up.
I'm pretty sure I've seen people say Switch Up before.
Switch to Electric Boogaloo. I mean, these are a really good Switch. I mean, okay, I think Float Plane Chat is going to lose their chatting privileges pretty quickly. Who do you think you are, Twitch Chat?
So people have been saying Super Switch,
Uber Switch, Switch Hitter. Switch HD. I mean, no. Oh, well, no. Nobody would use HD branding today.
Not anymore.
Yeah, HD branding was like, I don't know, 15 years ago. Yeah. And people are saying Switch 4K. I don't think this is going to be. Well, it could be a 4K console. I
doubt it.
Well, hold on. If Nintendo, as rumored, has backwards compatibility with Switch games, I see no reason why an Ampere-based GPU with upscaling couldn't run something like Tears of the Kingdom at 4K.
But with the added expense of a 4K screen.
No, it won't have a 4K screen.
Oh.
But it'll be able to do 4K to an
4K
to an external
dock
screen.
it and go to a TV.
And there is absolutely no reason it shouldn't support HDMI 2.0.
That'd be fair enough.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
I thought you meant on-device 4K.
No.
I don't think that makes any sense.
Absolutely no way they would do that. Yeah. I think it's going to be 1080p on device.
Yeah.
Switch X? Even that, maybe not.
Switch on? Oh, I hope not.
That'd be awful.
Switch up, I'm okay with. What was the other one that we both liked?
Switch Advance.
Switch Advance is
There's
good.
no way they'll do that. Nintendo, almost to a fault, doesn't look back.
Yeah.
Like they rarely... there is no way they'd be like Super Switch.
One thing that's interesting to me is it's almost certainly gonna look almost exactly the same as the Switch. It'll be slightly bigger, but it's probably gonna be more or less the same thing.
Man, if it's more or less the same size, but it has an 8-inch screen in it, that thing's gonna be sick.
I've heard rumor that the controller's gonna be magnetic.
That'd be kind of cool.
It's interesting. But this is interesting to me because the jump from the GameCube to the Wii U was the Wii was super interesting. And then the Wii to the Wii U was more of an interesting jump than people really realized with the whole fifth controller and controller with the screen, all that kind of stuff. And then the Wii U to the Switch was crazy.
Yeah, and then if this is just that thing again, but with a bigger screen.
That's the first time they've...
Will people be really disappointed?
Really done that.
Remember too, though, hold on, because the Switch took a unique approach to motion controls that maybe the kinds of games that you play don't take advantage of, but there's no way that you could have done... What were those cardboard things called, where you'd put the motion controllers on it and stuff?
Yeah.
There's no way that they would have been able to build a gaming experience like that.
Other than me, did anyone care about that?
I mean, I think they sold some.
Okay.
Goldball says they should just get rid of the Switch name altogether. It is awful to search anything about the Switch on the internet, and that is a really good point.
LABO.
Man, the searchability of names is a big problem in insert current year. I need to run. I'll be right back.
Okay. I just looked up the video I did on the Nintendo LABO, and this was a lot more recent than I thought. It just says 5 years ago. But YouTube's weird with dates sometimes. Yeah, this was 2018.
Luke, I just got a message in. Hey, DLL, why does Nintendo consistently keep bringing consoles out that are almost outdated or many gens behind the current gen?
They haven't been hardware pushers in a really long time. When is the last console they released that was actually hardware competitive?
It's never really been about hardware for them, has it?
No, I think it was a very long time ago.
64.
Yeah. Was GameCube hardware competitive? I don't think so.
I think that was pretty underpowered, honestly.
I thought it was. I don't really remember, but I thought it was.
Yeah,
GameCube was pretty strong. What directly competed against GameCube? Wasn't it Xbox Original?
I think it was Xbox and PS2, if I remember correctly.
GameCube release
PS1?
date.
Yeah, it was PS2 and Xbox.
2001. Xbox Original release date. 2001. So they're both the same time. Xbox versus...
Do you think it'll do the same dock thing? Maybe they'll go to like
people are
Home
saying the
Media
GameCube
Center?
was impressive because of how small it was. Like, that's not...
Is that cool?
It's not the point I'm trying to make. But it's at the very least from the Wii forward, it has not been about performance. And I know that's only a few console generations, but it's been a long time. The Wii release date was 2006.
Seriously?
There might be people watching this right now that weren't alive.
That's depressing. At risk of TMI, I got my diagnosis back. It's just a UTI, but I definitely have to go pee very suddenly sometimes.
That's okay.
On my antibiotics, and I'm feeling a fair bit better.
At least you're good to go.
Yeah, there was blood involved. So
never a good sign.
Yeah, this was like last week, right before WAN Show started, so I was a little stressed during the show.
This is like kind of the best sign of all the bad signs.
Oh yeah, no, I mean the second you start searching for stuff like that, it's like, yeah, you're gonna die.
You're done. Yeah. It's like, oh jeez.
Yeah. So that's cool.
But yeah, I don't think they care about performance. I think for them, it's been all about experience ever since, especially the Wii. And even before then,
N64, they cared about performance.
Yeah, that's what we were trying to debate on was what was the argument on GameCube? How was the GameCube performance-wise versus PS2 and original Xbox?
I thought it was pretty solid.
The looking up that I did was that it was fairly well competing.
Yeah.
And gained credit because of how small it was.
Yeah, which is cool. Too bad the discs were too small to put big games on it.
Yeah.
So maybe they should have made it bigger and put a proper sized disc reader in it.
And then after the GameCube, they just like actually stopped caring at all about performance, and it was much more about experience and just the games that were on the system and
margins,
walled gardening,
and margins on the hardware.
Yeah.
Well,
while a lot of other consoles were losing money per.
I wonder if what they realized was that they were selling so many copies of games that looked like shit for their mobile consoles. So like, realistically, is anyone caring about this?
I think also a lot of like, especially first party Nintendo games, the art style doesn't demand crazy performance. And a lot of times the ones that struggle in performance, it's like, they probably could have done better. So I don't know. Does your PC have a handle? Dude, my brother had this. If you don't know what case this is, let me see if I can find it. You're not going to
look for that while I do our sponsor spots.
Oh, I already found it.
Alrighty then.
Oh, you have a video on it. Nice. Let's go.
I think my favorite thing about my laptop is it has
the one your brother has is probably this one.
It might actually be. I'm not sure. I don't remember how he got it.
Because this is old enough that I probably just wanted to get this thing out of our way. And what? Like I'm going to flip it on Craigslist?
You scared your cat.
Like this case would have taken up so much space. It would have been more work to sell on Craigslist than it's probably worth. Because like the price is so high, but people don't. Cases are one of the fastest depreciating computer components you can buy. Like a used case is basically worth half of what it was worth new.
It was either this one or he like won it. I don't think he bought one of these. But at the top there, this case was enormous and it weighed a ton, especially once you filled it with stuff, especially once you filled it with water cooling.
Absolute clown case.
And the top here has these metal bars. They're actually metal. So he had this case and he got a welder friend to weld a crossbar onto those metal bars so that he could just pick it up with one hand because he's just this unit that could do that. And he'd bring it to LANs. It's just enormous computer that would just dwarf everything. So good. I don't know how we got onto the topic of cases, but we did.
So basically it's a giant GameCube. Is that the point you were trying to make?
Oh, right, because people said you don't have handles on your computers. And I was
All
like, well, sometimes we weld them on.
But did people say we don't have a sponsor? Because they were wrong. The show is brought to you today by AG1. If you're already busy juggling your everyday tasks, you definitely don't have time to juggle the bottoms of vitamins that you bought but never take. Why not make your life a bit simpler with AG1's all-in-one supplement? It has 75 different vitamins to fulfill your daily nutritional needs. And we've got members of the team here at LMG that have tried or even use AG1 daily, like Maria, our thumbnail designer, who drinks it first thing in the morning to start her day. That's her right now. AG1 is always trying to find the highest quality ingredients available, all of which have been tested by multiple third parties to ensure that your gut is getting the best of the best. It's a simple scoop a day and you're set. And while it might be a little too late for Mother's Day, by the way, Mother's Day warning, everyone.
When is it?
This weekend. Luke?
I'm kidding. I'm ready.
Okay. It could be part of a good Father's Day gift. So try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 and K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first subscription at drinkag1.com/WAN Show. We're going to have them linked down below. Man, I got crept up on it a little bit this year. This year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was freaking out a little bit earlier this week, but I actually came up with a really good thing for my wife. It's solid. Like, actually very. You know what? She's not going to watch this. So
people could like tweet her and stuff. Careful, and they will.
I don't think she checks her Twitter very often anymore.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
she's like pretty over Twitter, I think, at this point.
Nice, based.
Okay, hold on. I'll finish this and then I'll talk about what it is, because Dan's apparently just not going to cut back to us. He's just going to like leave it on this forever. The show is also brought to you by Ridge. You might still be single, but your phone may have found that special someone. Ridge just released their new MagSafe wallet that's compatible with your phone. It says, Linus quickly shows how it works. I assume that this is the MagSafe wallet.
It's there.
I was like, wow, it's light. Okay. Oh, cool. Okay, so it comes with
So you can adapt.
a little adhesive. Oh my God, that's really strong. Okay. It comes with a little adhesive piece, so you can just add it to your
non-magnetic phone.
still chugging Note 9, for example. Okay, I'm just going to put it right on the iPhone though. And then it's a Ridge wallet, right? So what do you want? It's got a band that holds everything together. It fits your cards in there like that. You pop them out a little something like pop them out a little something like that, and now it can just stick to the back of your wallet, just like that. Oh, okay. And they've got thoughtful little slippy pads in here, so nothing's going to get damaged by it. And I mean, yeah. They better hope nothing goes wrong with this. I mean,
That's not going to get edited at all.
well, what? I'm supposed to stop now? I got to finish. Anywho,
Stop making eye contact.
they use strong magnets embedded in the wallet to securely attach to the back of any MagSafe compatible iPhone. And for a stronger hold, why not try their strengthening tray? But hey, maybe you're too cool for an iPhone. The adhesive on the back of the tray will allow you to attach your wallet to any device. They're built from premium materials like aluminum to last you a lifetime or two. And just like their other wallets, they are RFID blocking. Plus, they have the new Ridge iPhone cases, which are available in Kevlar or full grain leather. And they're also compatible with MagSafe and wireless charging. So check out the Ridge MagSafe lineup today at the link in the video description. The show is also brought to you by Backblaze. Have you ever dropped a hard drive by accident? I have. Oh, come on! The line says many of them, but that's not true. Anywho, that's why we back up our data to Backblaze nightly here at Linus Media Group. Backblaze is an affordable and easy-to-use cloud backup solution that starts at just $9 a month. You can back up almost anything from your Mac or PC and access it anywhere in the world with their web and mobile apps. You can also easily protect your business data through a centrally managed admin, allowing you to automatically protect all the data of your employees' computers, and they offer multiple restore options in the event of a data loss or ransomware incident. Plus, you can increase your retention history to 1 year for free. Backblaze has 55 billion files restored and 3 exabytes of data under their management, and all you have to do to get with them is sign up for a 15-day free trial with no credit card required at backblaze.com/WAN. We're going to have that linked down below.
Sweet.
No, I'm done. Hey, wait a second.
Are you?
What about the Savage Jerky, Dan? I want to eat the Savage Jerky.
Then do that.
Oh, Oh, is it just like a product placement?
Yeah. And then if you eat it, I do this.
Oh, okay. Oh, sick. Okay, well, I was waiting. Man, he brought...
What did you get?
How dare you? How dare you take my bacon jerky?
This one?
Yeah,
I'm going to eat the whole thing.
No,
right?
no, go for it. I'm trying out the smokehouse bacon jerky. Well, what? You don't want to try... You only want bacon? You can
No,
have
I just want one.
You just want one... You're just going to have one piece?
I don't want to open the whole pack.
Oh, that's right. Luke's watching his intake.
Thanks, man.
Well, that's fine. I'll eat enough jerky for both of us. Don't worry, I got you.
Nice.
All right. Anyway, let's get on to our next topic here, shall we? You want to pick one?
messages.
Oh, merch message. Sorry, Dan.
Messages.
Sorry, Dan. We're doing
There's
it,
a sign!
Dan. There is a sign. You guys can't see it, but there is actually.
If you want to do more topics, you can.
No. We'll do a merch message.
Everywhere there's signs. It's a good
Okay.
song.
It is. Dead Pixel shirt is hilarious. Luke, what was your biggest hurdle into getting into fitness? Mine was being an overweight smoker. Have since quit all stimulants. # represent Hartford Whalers.
Nice. Oh, hey,
Whalers,
there we
nice.
go. Hartford Whalers. We have a special thing here because Sean from the IT team, that's where he got his old screen name from. Whaler is because of Hartford Whalers, because of whatever. Anyways,
I thought it was because he murdered whales.
nope.
I'm kidding.
Fortunately, no.
I'm kidding. There's an old
problem
Canadian
is
old Canadian hockey team called the Hartford Whalers.
Yeah.
That's the context for you.
not all of them are necessarily going to get the joke, which is why I clarified. What was it? What was the hardest part?
Yeah, what was your biggest hurdle getting into fitness?
My biggest hurdle, by fitness, I'm going to take that as like the more recent going to the gym stuff, because I wouldn't call the more recent stuff me getting into fitness, because when I was younger, I was significantly more fit because I played like a billion different sports all at the same time and I was extremely fit. But these days, my biggest hurdle was that I was broken in a lot of ways, largely from all the sports that I used to play when I was younger. So I had rotator cuff problems.
You shouldn't have done that. He's just
knee
a boy.
problems. I was on a cane for a few weeks years back because I screwed my knee up so bad. So that's a recurring, still existent problem that I have. And I have lower back issues and all this other type of stuff. So I had gained a ton of weight over COVID. So those issues were worse because of the weight gain. So I had to drop weight and figure out how to deal with those issues, which wasn't the most motivating thing in the world at first. But once you start seeing progress in the weight loss and you start seeing progress in the biggest thing for me was progress in the injuries, because I had it for a while. Like, I'm going to do this right now. I'm going to reach back and grab Linus's chair and move him around a little bit. If I did that a year ago, I would have shoulder pain for 3 days.
You want to grab something?
Because my rotator cuff was so screwed up. But as I learned how to do exercises that would help strengthen the rotator cuff and without hurting it, which would then make it less prone to injury, which would then make it so that I could like reach behind myself and do whatever and not hurt myself. Like, I can do this now at all, which is huge.
Hartford's in Connecticut. I had no idea. They moved when I was still a kid and I didn't know geography that much. I thought the Hartford Whalers were a Canadian team.
I have no idea. I had no clue at all.
Yeah, they moved in 1997 when I was 11. So I did not know geography yet. That is hilarious. Today I learned. Anyway, sorry. Carry on.
No, it's fine. But yeah, I started noticing like, hey, I'm not in pain as much anymore. That was a huge thing for me. By working out more often, when I woke up, my back wouldn't hurt anymore because I'd strengthened my back. Now I wouldn't sleep on my shoulder funny and hurt it, or reach behind myself and grab like a piece of paper and then injure myself. I'm more resilient that way. I'm not hurt all the time. I'm not as tired anymore. I just started feeling better and less pain all the time. And then now I don't want to stop because those things are very good. So I don't know. Those were the hurdles, but those are also the reasons to do it. So good luck. I believe in you.
Sorry, I was reminded that the Canucks are playing right now.
Oilers?
Yeah.
How are we doing?
1-1. End of the first.
I'm suddenly more invested in this than normal.
Did you just like the comeback kids?
No, a buddy of mine is like a super fan of the Oilers. So I just want him to lose.
Why do you hate your
I heard
buddies?
we won the first game and I was like, yes!
Oh yeah, in an embarrassing fashion.
We don't have to win the whole thing. We don't have to win the cup. We just got to beat the Oilers.
Elijah says, I can't wait for the Canucks to lose in the finals and we have riots again. 3 times.
Worried about
the
that.
Vancouver Canucks have never won a championship. 3 times they have made it to the finals. Not just made it to the finals. They have made it to Game 7, which is the final game of a best-of-7 series. They have made it to Game 7 of the finals. 3 times they have managed to choke in Game 7 of the finals, but never a championship. So I'm excited for it too, Elijah. It's going to be exciting. It'll be a lot of fun.
During a panel on AI in the legal field, it was stated that using AI may soon be required for attorneys for competency. Do you see professions soon requiring AI use rather than doing things manually?
Well, it's not a matter of that I think anyone is going to, I don't think a client is going to come to your law firm and say, I need you to use AI, or I am not going to work with you. I don't think it's going to be like that. I think it's going to be more along the lines of if you want to stay competitive, then you are going to have to take advantage of the efficiencies that machine learning in its various forms. To be clear, I'm not necessarily saying, AI in the way that I think we're thinking about it right now, and that a lot of the stigma is around right now, where, you basically just punch in a prompt and then it just shits out a response. There's lots and lots of different ways that you can use machine learning. So one way would be if you're looking for precedent, which is incredibly important when it comes to advising your clients on their best possible defense. If you are not searching using an AI, machine learning assisted model, the entire just astronomically huge library of precedent setting case law, if you aren't doing that, you're not going to be competitive. You're not going to win your cases. No human could possibly hope to have read and internalized everything that they would need for every different situation. Lawyers lose cases all the time. They literally lose as many cases as they win. Think about it, right? For every win, somebody has to lose. So if you're not using the most state-of-the-art tools, your win rate is going to go down compared to people who are using the most state-of-the-art tools.
Unless they're poorly / improperly using it, which will happen.
Which will happen.
I suspect more often than not, especially in competitive industries, it will be used properly.
But I think the example that I'm using, where you're using it to look for legal precedent, I'd say that's a pretty likely use case where it would be very, very useful and less prone to hallucinations. And it would be better than just a search, like a term search. If you have a large language model that has been trained on an enormous data set and you go, okay, tell me about any situation where a crime of passion was involved, but there were these extenuating circumstances, right? That's not something that a typical search is necessarily going to be able to handle without spitting you out an enormous number of results that you would have to you'd have to read through all of them, right? Yeah. And I mean, I would say, I'm not going to name any names, but with all the lawyers that we've worked with over the years, some of them probably should have just used AI for some of the work they did.
I have ran into examples where way after the fact, I realized where they lifted the copy that they sent us from. Because I noticed certain verbiage. And I was like, I actually literally recognize this. And then I go to the wherever that legal copy is and see the line. And I'm like, there's no way. There's actually no way. This has to be lifted from here. And then I'll look at the formatting of the document and everything. And I'm like, yeah, they just clearly make it so it doesn't look like you copied my work. And then they just copied it. It's like, well, what did I pay you for? I could have done this. Especially when you're like, oh, well, at least it's signed off by a lawyer. So if something goes wrong, we can go to them. No.
Oh, yeah. Man,
that's all garbage.
It's funny how, lawyers, being lawyers, they're all pretty knowledgeable when it comes to covering their own asses and making sure that, I'm just giving advice. I'm just giving advice. I mean, you could do whatever you want to do. If this goes wrong, well, what is the point of you then?
What is your point?
Why do you actually exist? Like if there's nothing bad happens if you get it wrong, what exactly is your incentive?
Why do I need to use you?
Yeah. I am not a huge fan.
No.
I think that good lawyers, absolutely, like any good professional, are important.
Deeply.
But there seem to be a lot of
There's a lot of junk.
less good lawyers that are more motivated by just creating litigation so that they can bill hours. But anywho.
I'm trying to get a water block for my 6900 XT, and
Really, Dan?
Why didn't you just ask?
Yeah. I bet we could have helped you out with that. I mean,
That's
we probably got
against
some
the
EK
rules.
stuff we can't use.
Don't say their name. I bought one recently and crossed out all the EK stuff and wrote Alpha Cool.
Yeah, because that's how that works.
I did it over the plastic.
You
which
are
was
the
a
alpha
mistake.
now.
Sigma Cool.
Oh my goodness.
So poor Fraser here is trying to find a compatible one. Is compatibility something that we should be seeing on the lab's website?
I mean, yeah, but only to a degree, right? Because
Yes.
realistically, for something like a water block, we're not going to test that. We're not going to be able to test
And
every...
there's going to be a lot of things that we'll actually sort of work on, especially with a very minor amount of modification or addition. If you like add little heat sinks to cover the spots that it's not covering and whatnot, which is something that people have been doing in water cooling for ever. What are we supposed to say? If you add a few heatsink pads, this is fine.
and back to the question of liability, right? Like, do I want to be in a situation where I say it worked and then the manufacturer of the GPU does a silent revision that we don't know about and it doesn't work? And LTTLabs told me it would work, and it's kind of sitting here going, like, why am I even opening myself up to this? I think that's something where we're not really going to get into it. Like, we might have if we were to ever have like a compatibility checker of some kind, I think we would probably
Official
want to find a way to grab data off of the manufacturer website. But I don't think that's the kind of thing that we would go through and want to validate. Like, we're not gonna take a motherboard and put every CPU on the CPU support list in it, and then maybe other CPUs just to see if they work. Like, it's not.
So the like literal 3 people that would care.
Yeah, it's not within the scope of what labs would be able to test, I don't think.
Yeah. They could. They just shouldn't. It's one of the problems. Sorry.
No, go for it.
It's one of the problems with having a thing like that is like you could the lab could test like practically anything. It's like, is that a good use of their time? They have so many other really high value things to do, and they are currently doing that. Like adding certain things like that. It's like, ugh, I don't know. Sorry, keep going.
No, that's okay. We'll get one more in here, I think. Howdy, LLD. I'm back in graduate school after 20 years in a job where priorities were obvious. How do you prioritize when the tasks are numerous and deadlines are nebulous?
I can't. I failed in school.
So you're asking, didn't you said you dropped out, right?
It's a little...
You were failing and you just made the conclusion early?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of a, you can't fire me, I quit.
Okay.
I was on academic probation already.
Ah.
And if I hadn't fixed up my grades, I would have been kicked out the next semester. But I decided that wasn't going to happen. Why am I paying any more for this? I'll see you later.
True.
I kind of just stopped going to class. I never actually formally withdrew. Which probably looks bad if I ever want to go back.
Probably, yeah. But that would be weird and useless. So you're talking to him who has that story, and then me who dropped out. Yeah, I don't know. Task priority, is this specifically for school? We're talking, no, didn't he say he just got a job?
Yeah. No. Was in a job for 20 years and now is in school.
Now is in school.
With no one to basically go, okay, here's what you're working on right now.
Do this thing. If the way I used to do it was if it's within a certain class, just study everything hard. But then if you know rationally, looking at the work in front of you, that you don't have enough time to study everything. There's a test coming up. If it's within one specific class, I wouldn't pick the thing that you know the least to try to study. I would make sure that you can secure a passing grade. So like make sure you're confident in at least a passing grade worth of material, and then work from there so that you know you can pass the class and keep moving forward. So make sure you have a solid base before you go in. And then when you get to the actual test, find the questions that you know you can confidently answer and blow through all of those, like skipping through parts of the test. Make sure that you like secure your solid grade that you know you can get, and then go back through and try to refine from there. That's what I did. I have no idea. I wouldn't necessarily listen to me. That's just what I did.
Tomokomo says, I was on academic probation at one point. This is in Floatplane chat. Now I am a college professor and a scientist. I work on gravitational wave physics.
Sick.
And I'm smart enough to subscribe to Floatplane. I added that last bit, but they are subscribed. But they are subscribed to Floatplane. That's good. I don't think my path would go similarly. I don't think I will ever be working on gravitational wave physics. I think Luke's seen me try to do math.
You can do good mental math.
Oh, yeah, I can do simple math.
Mental math you're good at.
I'm good at approximate.
Yeah.
Don't ask me to do anything exact.
That's almost all you need, though.
You know when I learned that? My first year of university summer. When I started estimating painting jobs.
Yeah.
I just like wasn't good at mental math. And
it's a good skill to have.
And my regional manager was like, well, get good. Because it's realistically the only way that you're going to be able to do this.
So how do you get good? Just practice?
Well, I had no choice, because if I wanted to make money, then I had to get good. And I needed to make money because I had a bunch of bills to pay for school.
So you got good by sheer will.
I guess.
Fine enough.
I mean,
I think in modern day,
it was 10% luck. 20% skill. Sorry.
I think in modern day, if you have good estimation skills, good mental math skills, the rest of it can be
15% concentrated power of will,
supplemented through like
5% pleasure,
phone calculators, and if it's complicated
50%
enough,
pain,
you can use Wolfram Alpha,
and 100% reason to remember the name.
That was all accurate, wasn't it? You remembered every lyric.
Why wouldn't I?
Wow.
Doesn't everybody know that?
Amazing. No, not off the top of my head.
Oh.
I was able to recognize that it was correct, but I wouldn't be able to, like, even now, I don't think I could say it all purposely.
Oh, man.
Is that a song, LMAO? Elijah causes me pain so often.
I know. He's painful.
Were we doing merch messages?
No, we're doing topics.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're doing topics.
What topic are we doing?
I don't know. Who cares? Stack Overflow users rebel against the site's OpenAI deal. This is hilarious. This week, Stack Overflow announced that they would be adding an OpenAI integration, feeding past user contributions to ChatGPT, as well as using that information to train AI without consulting their user base. Many users responded by deleting or adding protest messages to their past posts. Stack Overflow staff have reportedly responded by suspending those users en masse, then reverting those protest posts to their previous state. Oh, dang.
Wow.
Stack Overflow seemed to have a negative attitude toward generative AI previously, banning answers written by ChatGPT just last year.
Oh, I mean, they probably still have that stance because we know the whole thing where when AI feeds off of its own data, it gets worse. So they don't want generative AI answers on their site. They just want to sell their site to AI. That makes complete sense to me. You should also just consider stopping using it. I'm sure there's alternatives. But dang, that sucks.
What are the alternatives?
No, really.
Do you guys know?
Stack Overflow has been like the thing for a super long time. But this is how you spark competition. You know? So I'm sure somebody will figure it out.
Man, Heroi says nothing.
I'm sure someone will figure it out.
Yeah, Reddit, but that sucks too, and they're definitely doing the same thing.
They're doing the exact same thing.
Bruh.
I wonder what you do because we know on-site ads are making effectively nothing these days, regarding like money-wise.
Yep.
And this type of crowd is just going to be blocking them anyways.
We've got a really interesting video coming on de-Google-ifying your life. Emily was working on it, and it's pretty cool. But it's surprising how many of the alternatives are going to cost you a monthly subscription.
Yep.
Like
there's search engines that you can use that don't track your stuff and they just cost money.
But are super cool,
Yeah.
and you can like determine your own page rank and stuff, and like set your own priorities and have no ads in them. And
I've been thinking about going to a paid search engine.
we should watch the video.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, Emily put a lot of work into researching it.
This is actually pretty cool. I'm excited.
We covered browser. We covered search.
Browser too. Yeah.
We talked about
Interesting.
DNS. We talked about what we're trying to think of. What all of the de-Google-ify. We talked about email. So
because you can rage about being the product all you want, but if you're getting the thing for free, there's going to be some value harvested somewhere.
Yeah, you don't have a leg to stand on.
And one
that
problem
was the trade-off.
One problem is that you don't completely avoid it by paying for things. That's one of the big steps why I haven't done this yet, is like, okay, sure, I'm paying for this service and you're claiming these things, but what happens from you changing that? What happens this company from being sold to somebody else and now they own it? Like, what if Google buys this random browser company and now they have all their data? These are hopefully things that I can get some amount of information from the video, so we'll see. But like, yeah, it's interesting, but it does get kind of expensive to replace all the free things with things that cost money. And these are ongoing services, so it's almost certainly going to be monthly subscriptions.
Yep.
Not
100%.
Not one-time buy.
100%.
So,
and like in theory, you could self-host. And we talk a little bit about a Google Photos alternative that you can self-host, which is super cool.
Even that has costs, though.
But there's a lot of things that even if they don't have a cost, don't make sense to self-host. Like email is one that we brought up as something that you can, look at the look on his face, the physical pain.
As someone who runs services, like, please. The amount of times, and I've tweeted about this a bunch of times back when it was actually Twitter, but the amount of times that I have developer applications, especially when it comes to infrastructure stuff, and they apply and they use a custom email, and I go to respond to give people interviews, and the custom emails just get tossed because deliverability issues, whatever else. It happens way more than you would think, and from people that think they know what they're doing.
Yes.
The amount of times that people will include a personal this one sucks because I recommend that people do it. Seriously though, check if it works before you send in your resume, please. The amount of people that include a personal site on their resume that doesn't work, like, bro, or like the domain expired. I've ran into that. Like, it would be better for you to not include it on your resume if the domain has expired
than to include it and have someone click a dead link on your resume.
Yeah.
It just looks like you didn't care.
But people have a non-insignificant amount, at least over, like, we're talking double, maybe triple digits of people have lost interviews here because their custom domain email server thing didn't work, or they typed their email wrong.
Brutal. Intel
Crazy.
rebukes motherboard makers over fixes for Intel's unstable CPUs. We've also got some Arrow Lake leaks and AMD stealing CPU market share. I just didn't say steal, they earned it. But anyway, that's my headline here. After Intel didn't publicly take action concerning recent widespread reports of 14th gen processors causing game crashes and blue screens of death, on around April 20th, Asus released a BIOS update with an Intel baseline profile which turned down various performance boosting settings. This week, Intel spoke up to tell users not to use such profiles from motherboard makers. Instead, Intel wants you to use the Intel default settings profile instead, as it involves a combination of thermal and power delivery features with a selection of possible power delivery profiles based on the specific motherboard's capabilities. Broadly, the motherboard maker's profiles did seem to help with the stability issues, but it came at a performance cost. Intel's guidance seems to be geared towards allowing users to regain some of that lost performance. Intel is now demanding that by May 31st, motherboard makers release BIOS updates with Intel's default settings profile as the default. I can't believe this has taken this long to come to a head.
But aren't they also saying that doesn't fix it?
Because the performance, what is it? Multi-core enhancement, default thing controversy or like conflict between Intel and motherboard manufacturers has been going back for like the better part of a decade at this point. And it was it was bound to happen at some point, that some kind of performance boosting profile of some sort was going to cause instability, because it has always been overclocking to run anything but Intel's default behavior for the CPU. And I can't believe that it took this long. It took Intel ending up with egg on their face over the instability of the not Intel default profile for them to finally say, look, you actually can't do this anymore. And I'm willing to bet that this lasts one generation, and then immediately, in order for motherboard manufacturers to try to differentiate their product from each other, they're going to go back to putting whatever the most aggressive profile they can probably get away with on the majority of CPUs is, and we're going to be back to this whole song and dance until this happens again. Like, there's just absolutely no way that it's not going to just keep happening.
Oh yeah.
And to be clear, I don't even really blame the motherboard manufacturers here. Obviously, they're gonna push the limits of whatever Intel will allow them to do, and they're gonna try and differentiate their product. I lean toward blaming Intel.
That's the game they play.
Yeah.
If they want to be competitive, they have to do that.
Yeah.
They're not setting the rules.
I mean, look, like
it is what it is.
If Intel wanted motherboard manufacturers to differentiate their products, they didn't have to consolidate every single function onto the CPU and onto the chipset. They might have not tried to take all the margin for themselves in the motherboard. I mean, that was an option. To be clear, there were performance advantages to some of those moves, like moving the integrated memory controller onto the CPU to simplify the motherboard and make it more performant, but it's been a trend from Intel for a very long time to squeeze motherboard manufacturers, and it's become harder and harder for them to differentiate. And so
they're going to do what they got to do.
They got to do what they got to do. And if Intel doesn't like it, well, then they're going to have to lay down the law. And if they haven't laid down the law, then this is going to happen. This is you around and find out. It's that simple. One can only hope that Intel's upcoming Arrow Lake desktop CPUs won't suffer the same issues, on top of having no hyperthreading and allegedly terrible names. This is pretty funny. Yeah, here we go. Next-gen desktop CPUs have reportedly leaked. Arrow Lake Core Ultra 200 series. Same core counts as Raptor Lake Refresh, but fewer threads. Okay, hold on. Where's my branding? Here we go. So, sure. I don't know. Why not just,
why Ultra?
Why not just can we just have, I don't know, like a 9? Could we just have some continuity here? Why do we go from 9 to 8? From 0, 0 to 5? 14 to 2, I understand, because this is the generation, the processor generation.
Yeah.
But why did we move everything down 1 or maybe 2? So a 600 class product becomes a 4 class product, or I can't even begin to follow along with this. AMD had a new naming scheme, allegedly maybe leak on Asus's site that looked just as bad as Intel's, if not worse, because they shoehorned AI into all the processor names. So it was like Ryzen 9 AI, and then they switched to a 3-letter or a 3-digit numbering scheme as well, and it was utterly indecipherable. I couldn't even. That has not been confirmed to be real.
We should do product naming consultation.
I'd be happy to. They wouldn't want our advice though. Because
you just call it CPU.
We'd be no, I wouldn't.
That would be also stupid.
Yes, we'd be advising them on how to make it
This is CPU 1. We also sell CPU 2 and 3. Sorry, keep going.
Stumpy CPU?
Okay, our naming is bad too, for very different reasons.
Okay, maybe don't do naming consultation with us.
I think we could do better than them.
Yeah, I think anybody could, yeah.
In fairness to me, I wasn't involved in a lot of those names.
We're always just way too literal.
We are pretty literal. Backpack. I mean, we're not wrong. It's a backpack.
Screwdriver.
It is a screwdriver.
It doesn't even call itself ratcheting screwdriver, just screwdriver.
Well, it's a screwdriver. It's
you know what you're getting.
You do.
Yeah. It's better.
Yeah.
Sorry. I just don't know how much it leans on marketing.
I mean, look, we've had some more fun stuff lately. Okay, there's the Phase zip-up hoodie.
Phase, I like Phase.
Okay. Okay, that's
cool.
that's pretty literal.
Zip-up magnet.
Okay, we've got
100% cotton t-shirt.
Okay, the Steve turtleneck. Okay, this is actually a pretty solid mover.
That's fairly marketing. Yeah, good.
The
Onesie.
Steve. Okay.
Merino t-shirt.
Okay, stop looking at those names
Fleece
though.
lined. Fan
Okay,
t-shirt.
WAG hoodie is pretty good. I named that one.
That one's good. That is good.
I named that one. The Uncle Linus hoodie.
Okay, but that was from a video.
was a joke.
I don't know if that's fair.
That was literally actually a joke. This is not going to be better.
Lounge
I didn't mean to
pants.
start this. I'm
Lounge
sorry.
pants are all right.
I added pro to this, I think. No, I added premium to this one. That was my contribution to the name of that. Okay, these are...
So are the premium sports joggers better than the track joggers? Because
You know
the
what?
track joggers aren't premium.
The Dropout has a really cool name. Doesn't sell at all, but people love it.
I wish people... The Dropout sweater is like one of the comfiest sweaters I think I've ever had. And people don't know that
Yeah,
because they can't try it.
I know. Retail is a heck of a thing. Like buying clothes at retail, I get it.
Yeah.
It's tough to buy them online because you're
I feel the
basically
same
just
way. You're buying it blindly.
Yeah,
I get it. I wish people had the opportunity to try it because it's very much like a comfy, like nice, a little bit more hefty sweater. It's nice. It's good. I enjoy it. And I don't like pullovers, but I like that sweater.
AMD has hit a record high in x86 desktop and server market share, which is good because apparently their GPU gaming business and custom
Not cooking.
business is not going so good. But this looks incredible. In servers, their revenue share is 33%. And that's on a unit share of only 23.6. So that means that they are killing Intel at the high end for server. Like crushing them. That's crazy.
Not even close, right?
Yeah,
Where is this topic?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just
Oh, you're just looking at
yeah,
stuff?
Yeah,
Cool.
I'm looking at this right here. Look at it go. Woo!
Wow.
Number go burr. Yeah, things a little less hot on the desktop side. I
I
feel
love how them but this is server market share, so it's not just AMD and Intel, yeah?
no, this is x86.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
Okay.
x86.
So I love how them killing it is still being a third of the market.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you gotta
Compared to some historical record, that is crazy.
and you gotta remember too, like only part of the decision of which CPU to procure is which one is better. A huge part of it is long-term contracts. A huge part of it is production capacity. Like as an end user, okay, you would look at the marketing for someone like a mousepad factory in China, which they have marketing. You'd look at the marketing and go, well, that's stupid because it'll be full of things like what their production capacity is on a monthly basis. And you're sitting there going, well, yeah, but like, are they good? Do you make anything good? Depending on the buyer, that may not be their top priority because they just need mouse pads. And the factory that they're working with may simply not have enough capacity of mouse pads. And so at a certain point, like AMD can only buy so much of TSMC's finite capacity. And at a certain point, supply and demand. If everyone tries to buy it, it will drive up the price to the point where, oh, well, hey, Intel's product's not looking that bad anymore. Intel, meanwhile, has their own production capacity. So they effectively get to sell every chip that AMD can't make. And it will be that way for the foreseeable future. That is until AMD can get more production capacity from Intel's foundry business.
That'll be an interesting day.
We'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
Ever since I talked about how I like Intel's long-term plan, their stock has dropped considerably. I still like their long-term plan, but I made it very clear at that time. None of this is investment advice. I made it very clear at that time that it was a long-term play that I liked. Long-term play. Fox in a Box says, oh yeah, so forget contracts and availability. What about just comfort. People buy based on brands all the time.
Yeah.
That was an LMG clip that went up actually shortly before the WAN show today from last week, where I talked about not being fans. But man, people buy what they're comfortable with.
And you're fans at different levels.
And Fox in a Box says, at my company, we buy more Intel servers because we have Intel servers and we don't have issues, so we will buy more of them.
Which,
That
honestly,
simple.
in a lot of situations, is a mostly good enough reason.
When it comes to technology and how fast moving it is,
Maybe less so. But when you're dealing with like trying to convince people that are doing purchasing decisions for a huge range of things and that just happens to be one part of it, yeah, I don't know. Anyways, should we talk about Helldivers and Sony?
Yeah, sure.
This is wild. So this is not a fleshed out topic that we have, so this is going to be a little bit erratic, but because I think it happened like today. This is
Might have been yesterday.
Pretty hot news. Yeah, I don't know exactly.
It's
when
pretty
it
fresh
was,
though.
but it's quite fresh. I know it was Friday somewhere, but it might have been somewhere else in the world. But Sony, so let's rewind to last week. Sony forced PlayStation Network login onto Helldivers 2. Now, PC gamers
didn't like that.
PC gamers are pretty kind of used to needing other launchers or needing other logins. Even the beloved Baldur's Gate 3 uses its own launcher. They have a really cool reason.
Even CD Projekt Red has their own like account. It's optional. You can just continue to play.
Rockstar, Ubisoft,
Yeah,
EA.
everyone and their dog has
Tons of companies.
their own nonsense. Beloved developer Battlestate Games has their own launcher.
And they're not even on Steam.
I probably could have gotten him on a spit take if only he was drinking something.
Yeah. The Larian one, most people embraced it a little bit more heavily because it syncs your saves between platforms, which is like actually kind of sick. So if you had a save on a console, you could sync it to a PC. Anyways, so some people were somewhat surprised at the degree or the amount of backlash that they received for forcing this login. One major component was because they forced the login after people had already purchased the game. This is also not the first time that has happened.
Yeah,
But the really big kicker was that by forcing PSN, they were suddenly not allowing people in certain regions of the world to play this game that they had bought and been playing for a significant period of time.
And that's because the PlayStation Network was simply not available in that region. So they were allowed to buy the game, but they weren't allowed to create an account that is a prerequisite to play the game. And what's worse, fraudulently declaring that you live in a different country other than where you live
by use of a VPN or something
can get your PSN network banned, and then we're back to square one and you can't play the game.
Yeah. So gamers raised hell. It was great. This doesn't happen that often. It happens literally all the time.
Yeah, but it's not often that they actually get something done.
Yeah.
I think part of it, and I've been meaning to talk to you about this, but this is my theory. I think the biggest part of it was that the boycott was forced.
Yeah.
By the controversy itself.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I've talked about this a fair bit with the recent Battlestate Games controversy.
I like that. That's smart.
We've talked about this a fair bit recently, where gamers are spineless and they will raise hell about something and then immediately cave and start
Within
playing the
48
game
hours.
and buying microtransactions again.
Oh,
and,
I have news about that.
And these companies never learn anything. But in this case, because the source of the controversy inherently forced angry gamers to stop playing the game, it affected player numbers in a way that is very large and very measurable, because this is like the hottest game in the world right now, to the point where they went, oh no, we can't do this. People are not playing the game. And what we learned is probably nothing. But what we should have learned is that that's how effective a boycott can be.
An actual one, yeah.
An actual one where gamers actually stop playing the game.
And rage hard. So there's more to it. Some regions also require you to have a PS4 or PS5 to even have a PlayStation Network account. So some regions couldn't do it. Some regions had to have specific hardware, etc. It was a nightmare. There was a huge rage. The Arrowhead, the actual developer behind the game, like more or less agreed with the community and was like, this is dumb, and was kind of fighting against it as well. So it was a very unified force, massive review, what do you call it? Review bombing on Steam, tanking the rating of the game very significantly. This was a beloved game a month ago and is now being heavily hated on. So this was done like on last Friday, I think, right before the weekend. I think it's Monday or Tuesday comes around and Sony pulls it. Okay, you don't need a PSN account anymore. Come today, and I got confirmation by people in chat that this was today, you still don't need a PlayStation Network account because I guess they learned that much, but I think they didn't really get the point, the real point, the point that people were really mad about, because all those zones where you can't get PSN now can't buy the game. A lot of people thought those zones couldn't play. That's not true. If you already own it, you can play. As far as my understanding goes, please feel free to correct me, but I'm pretty sure you can play in those zones. But now I think it's 180. How is it defined? Let me find it here really quick. 3 more countries banned. It's like 180 areas you can't play the game in anymore.
Or you can't buy
the game anymore.
They apparently still can't play. So this seems to be very much a developing situation.
Either. Yeah, it happened today. Things are changing actively. 180 regions, they're calling it. So it started at 177, and then they added Estonia, Lithuania, and Latvia to that list, which brought it to 180. You can see this changing live because the Steam DB has a history where you can see changes. So people are tracking the changes live, which is wild. Yeah, it's 180 of the territories that Steam recognizes.
What is the logic here?
So that was my question. Why would you block people from buying the game in 180 regions? What is the point?
What is Sony's, potential? Because the only thing I can think of is there's some potential legal liability for operating. Like, when you buy a piece of software and the EULA is like, yeah, you have to agree not to use this for acts of terrorism.
Yeah.
Like, is there some kind of weird potential legal liability from the game being sold in these regions? But then, if that's the case, then why is it a problem to buy Dave the Diver in Congo? What exactly is the logic here? And does it have to do with that Sony is running their own?
Speaking of Congo, that's one of the places where they can't buy it.
Is it something to do with the fact that Sony is running PSN and so if they don't have all the legalities sorted out for operating in that region, then they can't. But then if that's the case, why not just waive the requirement? I mean, don't you want our money? Like on behalf of gamers everywhere, do you not want our money?
Yeah, some people are saying in Full Plane Chat, this kind of makes sense that they're doing this now, hoping that the backlash will be less, and then they want to add PSN requirement in the future. And then when only people that could have PSN on it are really playing the game, they're hoping that the impact will be lower. I don't know if that's the play or not. But they are adding this type of restriction to another game as well.
Yeah.
So this is not a small play for them. This is something that they clearly intend to do. Those regions have never gotten access to the game back. They added 3 more places today. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't exactly, tried to play with an account from Yemen, for example, or Zimbabwe, or any of these other places. Aruba, Angola. There's 180 of them. You can easily see it on the Steam DB website because there's the change of adding 180 countries, or 177, and then 3 more. But yeah, it's weird to me. If you were a game development studio,
sure,
and Sony,
not a thing I know a ton about,
Sony
but
approached you,
I'll allow it.
Consider that a lot of game development studios do look for publishers, not because in modern day you really need the publishing side of the publishers, but because you need the funding. So you're a game development studio, you're looking for funding. You need more funding to finish your game off. You think it's going to be a hit, but it's not out yet. And Sony approaches you after this happened. Do you take that deal or do you keep looking? Because I'm looking at how Arrowhead is kind of being tossed around in the middle of this.
Dude, I take the money. I mean, game development industry is
brutal.
Is brutal. If that's, I mean, obviously, if I have another offer, I'll consider it.
Yeah. So if Sony's the only one on the table,
Yeah, it's like, who's my better option? It's Microsoft.
yeah, you might just get closed.
And to be clear, you know, we're not necessarily talking about an acquisition, but like, you know, what are Microsoft's terms going to be? Do I have to allow it to be exclusive on Game Pass before I can even sell it for myself, or like what? Right? Like I don't know. It depends on everyone is going to have strings attached.
It's just a part of the variable.
There's no free money.
Yeah.
So with all of that in mind, it might still be the best option, which sucks. But like realistically, I don't have a backup plan. I don't have $25 million to give you to finish your game. I mean, if Linus Publisher Game Funding Group existed, I'd be happy to.
There's a bunch of other YouTubers starting up game publishers.
I wish them luck with that. I mean, hey, I heard there's a lot of talent looking for work right now, looking to build cool gaming experiences. Yeah. So that's the one possible silver lining is I think we're going to see like a boom of small studios.
Let's embrace this silver lining for a quick second to get off this topic because it kind of sucks anyways. But Big Mode from is it Donkey or what? Yeah, Big Mode. Is this game out now? Animal Well, is it out?
It came out today. Animal Well, woo!
People seem to love this.
Solo dev did everything.
I obviously haven't had time to play it because it came out today, but people are raving about this
first game they've published, right?
Yeah.
Sick.
Overwhelmingly positive Steam reviews right now. Good sign. 97% of all reviews, and there's been 1,834 reviews. The game came out today.
That's a lot of players.
97% are marking as positive.
What is it, 3% of people who own a game review it?
Yeah.
1,800 is huge.
So this thing is smashing already.
Good job, guys.
And people love it. So Billy Basso, great work. Big Mode, good first release.
Maybe I'll go home and play it.
Dang.
Good job.
So speaking of other alternative publishers, my way too short video on Floatplane was talking about how this type of stuff is happening more and more lately. And apparently, at least Big Mode is doing it well. I'm not going to say all the rest of them are going to do it well. I'm not going to say there's, a ton of Billy Bassos out there, but I'm really stoked that this is working out. This is great. Very cool.
Obviously, I can't tell everything about the game from this, but
looks cool.
Kind of reminds me of like Undertale a little bit, maybe a little bit of like Hollow Knight. I don't know. It just seems like a vibe.
Yeah. Really interesting art style.
Look at the reflections in the water.
Yeah.
Sick.
Super cool.
What is it made
Very
with?
excited.
Do you know what it's made with, Dan?
He wrote his own engine.
All right, Billy Basso. Dang, dude.
Absolute goat solo dev.
My goodness.
Linus, you're still muted, by the way.
That's not even fair to the other devs. Anyway, sorry, what I had said before was it feels like somewhere in between, like, or it reminds me a little bit of like Undertale or Hollow Knight. Kind of a...
I think it's a puzzle style platformer rather than like anything else, I think.
But hold on. How big is the game? Is this real?
Is it actually 40 megs?
I'm questioning this.
34 megs.
34 megabyte game.
33 megs. It's getting smaller.
They're the mega.
42, 34.
They're the megaist. More like megabytes.
Under the system requirements, it says that you need 40 megs of available space.
More like sigma bytes.
Hold on. Look at this. Look at this. You need a 64-bit processor, 1 gigahertz of speed, 1 gig of RAM, and 40 megs of space.
Oh my God. I could run it on my watch.
Is this Roller Coaster Tycoon? What's happening?
I would love to know what he wrote this in.
What the heck?
That is incredibly optimized.
Hey.
That makes me happy. Apparently on someone's computer right now, it's 33.37 megs.
I am so excited to see this pop off. I
might get it
so
just for
happy.
that.
Yeah, I want to play this.
You know what I'm excited for?
What are you excited for?
We have some leftovers from the charity stream that didn't end up clearing payment. So the proceeds from these items will still go to BC Children's Hospital, and the items are live on our Whatnot account. They are available for purchase for anyone to grab, and mobile app users will be able to easily find the listing by navigating to our profile, Linus Tech Tips, no spaces, no caps. For desktop/web users, the products only appear if you search for the username Linus Tech Tips at the top of the site and view the products that will appear from your search. We've got an Elgato streaming bundle, a Corsair 6500X. I guess that's a gaming computer because that price is pretty high. That must be one of the machines we built. We have the LTT, probably TSA approved regular screwdriver.
What is that?
A Noctua cooling bundle. It's a weird, I think it was a full-sized handle with a stubby shaft. We have a Noctua hoodie in large, his and her short circuit hoodie bundle, an Acer Predator Helios Neo 16, the Alienware bundle number 3, and a couple of LTT water bottles. All of these are proceeds for charity, so you can go check them out at Whatnot. Username Linus Tech Tips, no spaces, no caps. Oh, we have a BOINC folding competition update. We're currently placed 5th in the BOINC Pentathlon, and we need more power for the final push. So visit the Folding It homepage on linustechtips.com to join the squad. Anything else you want to go through in here, Luke?
EA, we don't have to talk about this too much. I don't have a lot of details on it, but EA announced that they might be putting ads in AAA games. This isn't entirely new. We've seen ads in games before. I don't necessarily know what they mean by this. I don't know if they mean intrusive ads, like it's going to play like a video ad in front of your face, because there's been product placement in games forever, like billboards and all this other type of stuff. People just having items. It's been a thing forever. So I'm assuming it's new and worse in some way, but I don't have a ton to say about it.
Also, upgradable laptops are back. LP Cam 2 has been in the news lately. Lenovo has released a ThinkPad workstation that is the first laptop compatible with LP Cam 2.
You're muted.
LP Cam 2 is here. Upgradable laptops are back. Lenovo has released a ThinkPad workstation that is the first laptop that's compatible with LP Cam 2, a new DRAM standard that was recently published by JEDEC. A big selling point for these new modules is that they will be faster, more efficient, and more compact than SODIMM, and also easier to upgrade or replace than soldered RAM. So they're kind of the best of both worlds. Replacement LP Cam 2 modules are available directly from Micron. I have had a ton of people, like seriously, this is probably out of every random esoteric tech thing that people have asked me to make a video about, this has been the most common. I have someone message me about it probably once a month or so over the last while. I don't get a ton of video requests like directly in my DMs or my inbox or my mentions, but this is one that has come up enough times that I'm like, wow, people sure ask me to make a video about this a lot. Well, conveniently for you, we did. And here's the ad that plays before it. There we go.
Oh, yeah.
It's LP Cam. We did a whole video, and it was pretty cool, and we covered it in pretty darn good detail. We even had a module back a year ago. You're welcome. More like a year and a half ago. We also...
Nice.
Hey, before you send me a DM asking me to make a video, just drop a quick,
Look on one of our variety of channels.
Drop a quick search, Cam, and just, see what happens, because you might just find a video about it. We've definitely covered a lot of stuff over the years. Anyway, thank you for the suggestion. This is really exciting because it's not really mentioned in our notes here, but the ability to run at the same speeds as having the packages soldered onto the main board is a huge advantage. Basically with SODIMM, Alex explains it in great detail in that video. We worked together on the script for it and he did an amazing job. But basically the trace length is just too long for SODIMM to keep up anymore. And Cam helps reduce the trace length, the maximum trace length significantly, allowing us to hit not quite the same speeds as soldering directly on the motherboard, or especially now we're seeing memory soldered like on package, or not soldered, but we're seeing memory added to the package.
Yeah.
So not quite at the same level, but hey, it's upgradable, which is an advantage for users and even an advantage for system builders who want to be able to offer multiple configurations. Find my device expansion. Oh yeah, I got an email about this. Google is finally rolling out its promised Find My Device expansion, which will help users locate both online and offline devices, and it works pretty much the same as Apple's Find My network. There's 1 billion plus Android devices in the network that'll ping your device over Bluetooth if it's nearby and send the end-to-end encrypted information to Find My device. The system also stores recent locations with timestamps, so it can be used to find offline devices. And as recently as a couple of weeks ago, we managed to get Yvonne's purse back using an Apple AirTag. This is very really useful things. I told Luke about it already. That person was definitely going to keep it until I disclosed that there was a tracker on it, and I was going to be able to make noise with it as soon as I got in touch with my son back home to ping it, because I didn't bring an iPhone with me on the trip. Anywho, users that wish to opt out of the feature can do so through settings, and users can also manage when they want to participate, whether it's only in high traffic areas or all areas. Perhaps, controversially, users have the option to benefit from the network by using it to find their device without participating themselves. I am against that.
Yeah, me too.
I think that if you want to be able to find your device, I think Google should just draw the line here and basically say, no. What, you want to use the network to find your missing device, but you're not going to contribute to it? Why don't you just go drink a nice cold glass of off and... Because like it's not like it's not encrypted.
Like not reseeding.
Yeah, not cool.
Yeah, if you're going to download a Linux ISO, you should help other people download Linux ISOs.
Unfortunately, the purse story, we were in a pretty chaotic headspace. I'm not going to remember all the details, but we were at Ludwig's for the shoot. We got an Uber back to our hotel. Realized when we got to the hotel, holy crap, we don't have it. We assumed that she had accidentally left it in the Uber. Not remember, but you might not know this. We had pulled an all-nighter right before the trip, painting Plouf's car. She stayed up with me, and we were working on it together. Neither of us was really at our best on that trip. So we assumed it was in the Uber. We called the Uber driver, because that's a feature, and he was like, I have a fare right now. I'll check, when I pull over. He didn't call back. So Yvonne calls him back later. He goes, yeah, I checked in the back seat. It's not there. And she goes, well, okay, what about the trunk? And he's like, I have a fare. I'll check later. And we're like, okay, well, just in case it's not in the Uber, why don't we head back to Ludwig's studio?
Yeah.
It was not simple to get in touch with my son to check the AirTag location, because I had left my iPhone back home. So what am I going to need my iPhone for? I'll just bring my regular phone. So we hadn't managed to get in touch with him yet. So we were like, okay, well, why don't we just head back to the studio? Maybe we accidentally left it in the studio. We got there, and it was right around that time that we learned a bunch of things. So the driver got back to us eventually that it wasn't in the car. So we went, uh-oh. We searched the studio. It wasn't there. We got the ability to see where it was, but we couldn't ping it yet. Long story. We could ping it, but we couldn't find it in Ludwig's studio. So now we're really worried. Now we've got the last known location, but it was a long time ago, and it was at a park that was a little ways away from Ludwig's studio. And we're like, okay, that's a bad sign, because unless we drove past someone with an iPhone as we were leaving, and that was the last time it got pinged and it was in the Uber, which the guy said it wasn't, but you never know. I had a cabbie lie and say that I didn't leave a jacket in a cab once, and they definitely had it. Unless that's what happened, this thing is pretty lost. And even if that's what happened, this thing is pretty lost. But then it started to get updates more recently, and it was just at the intersection near this park. And I had already had the idea that if we left it on the sidewalk, someone might have just grabbed it, been walking, because you're going to be moving, just ditch the tracker in the park, just hucked it in a garbage can or something like that, and then took the purse with them, because the tracker's just hanging in plain sight off of the purse. It's not in a hidden pocket or anything. And so I had already kind of walked past this park a couple times earlier, and while we were waiting and stuck and not able to get in touch with my son, I had suggested to Yvonne that we walk around the park and look in garbage cans and stuff like that, because it would be great if they just took the cash and then chucked the whole purse, tracker included. So I was kind of still holding out for that. So I didn't realize, because I was looking at the Find My app, never actually had to use it to find anything before. So I was looking at the Find My app through my son's phone at the other screen, and it's like a huge icon like this. And I didn't realize it actually comes to a pinpoint. So at some point I realized, no, it's exactly at that point in the intersection where that weird, like, hoarder looking truck full of garbage and with like a kid and someone in it, and clearly like no intention of moving. There's a lot of like RVs and stuff parked around. Like, it was clearly a poorer neighborhood where people were living out of their vehicles. So clearly, so that vehicle had caught my eye before, and now I realized that the pin was like right on it. They didn't speak any English, so we had interacted with them just sort of casually already, but finally we were like, okay, well, we need to talk to them because, we're going to have to like
Google Translate moment.
Figure this out at some point. So we pull out Google Translate, and
Nice.
Yvonne basically goes, I lost my purse. Have you seen a purse? And they go, no. And we kind of go, okay. Well, I need to wait a little bit longer before I can ping this on my own, because by then my son was doing something else and we couldn't just have like him ping it. Oh, right. Oh, I remember why we couldn't just have him ping it, because it wasn't near anything on the Find My network. So we had the last location, we had the ability to ping it with the iPhone, but we didn't have an iPhone. So we had to go back to, see, this is why I told you I was going to get the details wrong. We had to go back to the studio. My phone battery was dead, so I couldn't call Yvonne. I was worried the truck would like leave because they had seen me kind of walking around a lot. Right, we had to go back to the studio. They had an iPhone, but it belonged to an employee who wasn't there anymore. And they didn't have the pin to reset it. So we had to like search for whether a MacBook participates in the Find My network. We finally got that. We brought it back. We had to connect it to an internet connection, which wasn't working on my phone because my phone died. So we had to tether it to Yvonne's. Her phone was almost dying. So we finally got to that point. So then we talked to them again, because we'd already talked to them. We'd already said we lost the purse, but we didn't have any way to ping it. So now we had a way to ping it. I couldn't sign into my Apple ID on the MacBook because my 2FA was on my phone, which wasn't charged.
Dead.
So I was in the middle of reverse charging while Yvonne was sitting there, because there's an Android app that you can use to ping unfamiliar trackers, but it has to be near you for 10 minutes. So we have these multiple timers. I'm trying to reverse wireless charge my phone. I'm trying to figure out how to log into my Apple ID, maybe without it or something, or like I could TeamViewer into something and get something. And then Yvonne is meanwhile waiting for this countdown timer for the 10 minutes. So finally we get there and we're ready to talk to them again and we're ready to ping it. And so I go over to the taco stand that's like on the street next to him, like, hey, Google Translate moment again. Do you mind turning down your music? I'm trying to hear a tracker. And we go back and ask one more time, hey, we've got a tracker on the purse. And so have you seen it? Because it's going to make a noise soon. And they go, oh, yeah, I was going to give it to you. My kid was sleeping, so I couldn't before.
Oh, yeah.
And we kind of go,
Totally.
okay. And she goes, yeah. I was going to give it to you. And this is, oh, right, a neighborhood kid has been brought in to translate. Yeah, I was going to give it to you. My husband found it and gave it to me, and I was going to give it to you. And we're like, okay, anytime now. So she goes and gets it, and sure enough, it's Yvonne's purse. I guess they had no idea what an AirTag was because it was still sitting on it. She hands it back to Yvonne, who immediately opens it up to give her the cash as a reward as she's saying, everything's in there. And Yvonne goes, oh, well, I guess you helped yourself to your reward already, which may not have actually been the lady. It might have been the husband who found it.
Or even someone before that.
But one way or another, the cash wasn't in it. But you know what? Honestly, we were so happy to have it back that we had to go bother one of Ludwig's poor team members for this is probably the 4th or 5th time by this point, because we went in to look for it, and then we went into borrow an iPhone, and then we went in to go like, hey, actually, how about a MacBook? And then we went in for some other reason. We're like ringing the door every time, right?
Like, who the heck are these guys?
No, I knew who knew we were. But then the last thing we had to do was because no offense to anyone, didn't really want to walk around and look for an ATM. We're like, hey, do you have any cash? We can like PayPal you replacement cash, but we had no cash on us because I don't carry it, and Yvonne had her cash taken. So we still gave her a reward, thinking maybe someone, because why would you?
Sure, why not?
Why would you confidently hand someone their purse going, everything's in it
when it's not?
When it wasn't.
So at the very least, she probably didn't know, or maybe didn't know. Who knows?
She very possibly didn't know, and they clearly hadn't had time to go through it in detail. So what I suspect was Buddy picked it up, grabbed the cash immediately so that he didn't have to tell his wife that he had cash. Because like some relationships are like that, and I definitely got a vibe that, you know, there might have been some dishonesty around.
Yeah.
You know, so probably grabbed the cash, dumped it in the like hoarder looking truck thing that was just, it was like full of garbage. Which is weird because there were garbage cans in the park that were empty. They could have easily put their garbage in there, but no, they chose to keep it in their truck. And then intended to go and look through it later is the vibe I got, because her AirPods were still in there. And AirPods Pros, like if you have any idea what those are, that's one of the first things you're stealing.
Those pretty quick, yeah.
Yep. Her AirPods Pros were still in there. There were no transactions on any of the credit cards. None of them had been removed. Clearly they thought they had all the time in the world to come back and go through it and figure out, you know, what was of value other than the cash. So thank you, Apple, for your AirTag system that you are now finally have done your part to help Google also have their own system, so I don't have to buy your AirTags anymore, and I'll actually be able to ping stuff myself without carrying around my stupid iPhone.
But does Google have, like, what tracker can we get on the Google side?
Well, they'll be coming.
Okay.
Yeah, very excited. It's going to be
that'll be really nice.
Yeah, I'm very, very happy that we got it back. We ended up we offered them a meal because there was the food stand right there, and they were like, no, I don't want that. And so we went and got cash and brought it back. I'm like, okay. Sure, fine. I decided on $60 for those of you who must know. I felt like there were apparently 3 of them, so they can get some food. And I figure I didn't owe them any more than the bare minimum, since...
I mean, they were clearly not intending on giving it back.
One of them or another already had our cash.
Yeah.
And the other one clearly didn't intend to give us back the rest of the stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, what are you talking about? You were going to return it. If you're going to return it, you could have easily found the phone number in it and called it. That would have been an option. Anyway, it was very, very stressful. This was like the first day of our trip. This was the second day of our trip, and we had 2 more days to come, and it would have just been, fortunately, her passport was not in there.
Yeah.
She had her passport separate. Never have everything together.
Some countries force you to walk around with your passport.
That is utterly insane.
Yeah, but it is a thing. But if that's not the case, leave it in your hotel safe. We should get on to merch messages because I have about 6 minutes. I'll do some more.
Shoot.
I can do some more time than that, but yeah, let's After Dark it. That's the wrong button.
It's right next to it. Sorry about that. I've already done it.
Oh, it's on this side.
I have a remote.
Wow.
Thanks, Andy.
Nice, Dan. Good job.
Oh, that wasn't me leaving. I was trying to adjust the lights.
I gotcha. Howdy, LLD. I'm back in graduate school after 20 years in a job where priorities were obvious. How do you prioritize when tasks are numerous?
Wait, you already gave us that one.
I already gave you that one. It was so long ago. Farmer in Nebraska and solar storms are wreaking havoc today. Interference with our GPS systems needs to be precision and has brought planting to a halt across the state.
Needed for precision.
Oh, precision agriculture.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Scary to an industry. Thoughts? Yeah, that is an impact of solar storms that I would not personally have thought of.
Me neither. Thoughts, it's not going to happen that often, I think.
Unless it does, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, solar warming. Solar
I think
climate
it goes
change.
the other way.
Solar climate
I
change.
think they usually get colder. Yeah.
Unless they don't. Unless
That's
they get a lot
wild.
hotter.
And bigger. Yikes. Thoughts? I don't know.
All right, let's next one.
We'll have to embrace tradition.
Yeah, Lou's got to go
Reject
pretty quick.
modernity.
So, oh my goodness.
Apparently, the largest storm is going to be here about 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. today,
Yeah.
if we can get outside.
Oh, to see the northern lights.
And
Living in Canada, I have still never seen them.
well, me neither, because most of the times that they announce them, it's just, you're not going to see it here. But theoretically, this one you like actually might,
Sick.
because they're always like, "Oh, you can see it in Vancouver," and you go outside, and it's like, "No, you really can't."
Well, it's always overcast here, so
Yeah.
that's an issue.
But maybe these ones.
Biggest one since 2005.
Sick.
Hi, LLD. Do you think Linux will ever gain competitive market share in the new consumer space?
Yes,
Okay.
it already is happening. Exhibit A, Steam Deck.
Yeah.
Sick. And if Valve ever releases SteamOS, man, I would seriously consider running SteamOS for like a media center PC, like a
absolutely.
TV. Man, the console-like experience of SteamOS, very cool.
Yeah.
Very awesome.
Hey, LDL, love the WAN Show. Curious what you guys think about the future where AI plays a role in government in an effort to eliminate the inherited flaws of being human, greed, power bias, etc.
Well, those last three things that you just said are all the reasons that they're not going to allow AI to make those decisions, because then they wouldn't get the benefits of their greed, power, and bias.
Yeah.
I think it'll take a long time for AI to play a significant role there, because it's pretty obvious that they have no interest in logic and doing whatever is sort of clearly the most correct thing.
I also think that there's a huge chance for when we start doing that, those systems become compromised and then utilized in like office space, scrape the pennies off style ways that are going to be difficult to notice with lacking oversight and cause extremely major problems.
After trying Windows, Mac, and Linux, I've found that all are missing some great features from one another. What features do you think should be universally implemented by operating systems?
Sleep that works. Got 'em, Windows.
Stop turning yourself on to do updates and then
Yes.
crashing.
Stop turning yourself on at all. If I turn you off, you stay off. Period.
Wake timers do nothing.
No, there's no super checks tonight, guys. What features do you think should be universally? I mean,
A lot of operating systems are like, you don't interface with it that much.
yeah,
anymore.
I really don't that much. I use my browser so much more than I use the operating system itself.
It makes me sad that more websites aren't services, but I understand.
Like, I probably interact with Steam more than I interact with Windows, if you think about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I agree, to be honest. Because I launch a computer, I make sure Teams, Slack, and Chrome are open. I'm done
I'm trying
if
to
I'm
think of
working.
snipping tool.
Yeah.
Like what?
But then does
What do
Mac, I know Linux and Windows
Oh,
have
no.
snipping
I'm
tool.
not saying as a feature. I'm just trying to think of other
other
things I need to
things
have
you use?
open. Yeah, like almost nothing.
Your clock.
For work, anyway. Yeah, sure. Man, does it bother you as much as it bothers me that you can't click on the time in the corner and get a second hand anymore on Windows 11?
Oh, yeah, it's dumb.
What the heck? I use it as just like a timer clock.
Yep.
But why? Just give it back. And why did you take away the very bottom right show desktop thing? And you can turn it back on, which is nice. Do you use that, by the way? Click all the way down in the bottom right to show the
Yes.
desktop? Yeah.
Mine is turned back on.
Yeah, it's like, why did you remove
Not
this?
on this computer, mind you, but on my computer at home it is.
It wasn't in the way of anything. That was the whole point. Oh. It's reminding me to take my antibiotics. Yeah.
I'm patiently waiting for the precision screwdriver. Is there any new news on it?
Are you really patiently waiting, though? If you message me about it, are you patient?
I paid money to ask you about it.
Yeah, that seems like the opposite of patience. To be clear, I'm not complaining. But it doesn't seem patient is all I'm saying. Soon, my pretties, I think we ran into a weird complication where it turns out that another major precision screwdriver vendor got the tolerances backwards. So instead of having the bits be exactly a size, and then accounting for tolerance in the bits by having the female side in their driver be bigger, they made the female side of the driver be exactly the size and had their bits be smaller to account for tolerance issues. So the standard is basically fucked because this is a major vendor. And so we did it correctly, which would have made at the edges of tolerances our driver incompatible with third-party bits. Not because we did anything wrong. So these are the kinds of things that, that's why you do pre-production runs, and that's why you do validation and testing, and everything will be okay.
This is why hardware is difficult.
We're going to do it wrong, basically, in order to maintain compatibility as best we can.
Fair enough.
But we're unhappy about it, and we're going to gripe.
I used my LTT driver to remove a GPS tracking device and ignition cutoff for my 2013 Ford Fiesta. Have you ever found a device or tech installed where it shouldn't have been? I blame the dealership.
That sounds wild.
Is that from like a lease or like a?
I think you're in a movie now. I think you get to be the star of a movie now.
That's wild.
What if it was a lease that they sold and then it was just still there?
Maybe.
Or maybe so
it
they
was
can...
a rental car that the dealership then sold. Dealerships sell a lot of rental cars. And a Ford Fiesta would have been very...
Or maybe it was a
rental
finance deal and it's there so that they can repo it.
Maybe.
That actually seems like... Man, all of them are dystopian and all of them seem plausibly likely.
Yeah.
I hate all of it.
Third question for Luke. At a pet store in Conure, when he sees my 18-month-old son gets as...
It's not in Conure. Conure is a type of bird. It's a type of parrot.
Pet store Conure. Oh, sorry. I'm trying to go quickly. I'm not doing very good right now.
It's all good. It's fine.
At a pet store, a Conure, when he sees my 18-month-old son gets as close as possible to him, turns on his side, and rolls into the glass of the cage. Is this a good or bad behavior?
I don't know Conures super well. I would say that's a good behavior.
It's a funny one.
Conures are very hand-friendly, and they like to cuddle and stuff like that. So he probably feels safe and wants to cuddle and be friendly and nice. I would read that as a very very notably positive behavior. But I've never had those birds. I don't 100% know, but I would say it's good.
80,085.dll. I'm looking forward to watching the Borderlands movie when it comes out, even if it's bad. What video game movies were you excited about? Also, more tall shirts when? Thanks for all you do.
I was excited about the Warcraft movie, and I hated it. Hated it.
Wow, tell me how you really feel.
I went to go see with my brother, and we were both just like mad the whole time. It was annoying. People saying why it shouldn't have been live action. That was dumb. Blizzard has like historically amazing cinematics. They basically always did and always have.
Yeah, them and Squaresoft were like
killed it. And then they released a live action movie, which was just weird. And then they borked a bunch of the lore, which was like, what are you doing?
You mad, bro?
You have like a bunch of the like weirdest, nerdiest, lore heavy fans, and then you're just like, we'll just change some stuff.
You mad, bro?
What? Yeah. I was. Yeah.
Do you have a habit of periodically downloading your account data from the products and services you use? The last time I remember doing so was to see where my brother's friend spent his V-Bucks.
I don't. I mean, yeah, I could see that maybe being useful, in case, who knows, Amazon decides to stop showing you all of your previous purchases or something like that, right? Like, I could see it being useful, but no, I really don't make a habit of it.
I don't either.
I probably should.
Yeah.
Hey, LLD, I'm a hiring manager and just got done with an on-site interview where the candidate was technically sound, but not a behavioral fit. How do you screen for both, given limited interview time?
I actually really like that wording.
Yeah.
Not a behavioral fit.
Yeah, I do what I call culture fit interviews, and then I do technical interviews afterwards.
And to be clear, like a culture fit does not mean discriminatory. It means I absolutely need to work with you on a daily basis, and I have to make sure that that's not going to make both of us want to blow our brains out.
Yeah.
Yvonne asked me some hilarious questions, and it was a very good interview.
I mean, yeah, it's Yvonne, so I'm sure it was.
Mm.
I also have asked some hilarious questions, but I don't think anyone would say they had a good interview.
I liked my interview. It was really long.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're going to hire someone, then you should take the time, right?
Oh, yeah, but wasn't ours like hours and hours long?
I don't remember.
Didn't you have to get dinner in the middle of it? I think you've talked about it before.
You drove me home because all the buses shut down.
I mean,
I showed up immediately after
that's a nice
school.
thing to do.
It was like, I think
See, monster right here.
it was like 4:30, 5 p.m. ish. And then by the time we were done the interview, the bus system had shut down and it was dark out.
This is cool. Agent J.I. something. I have the interview, then I give them a tour. The tour really helps figure out their interests and personality. That's a really good idea.
That's cool. I like that a lot, actually. That's really clever. I've thought for a
That's
while,
super
like,
cool. I
should
like
I start
that.
like playing tape to tape with people or something?
Yeah, no.
Because like doing an activity with someone, I think is extremely informative.
Yeah.
That's what Yvonne did with me.
Oh, what'd you do?
Interview, then tour.
Oh, typical.
She's so good at it.
That's sick.
Yeah. I don't know if that's for everybody. Let's see. I'm in the process of building my first house, and I'm thinking about doing the painting myself to save money. I'm currently looking at spraying. Would that be worth it, and what should I look out for?
Spraying.
What is your sanity worth to you? Painting's a lot of work, and it's tedious. I think what you should do is, man, you're in the process of building your own house. Man, you got so much to do. Okay, so it depends. If this is new construction, spraying can be very efficient and can be pretty cost effective. If everything else is in place, you probably don't want to spray. The amount of work that you save by spraying instead of rolling, it's going to cost you in masking everything off and protecting everything else from overspray. I would say painting is the kind of thing that some people, even very handy people, just don't have patience for. And it's worth painting one room, because presumably you can do that. Painting one room to see if you have the temperament for it. And if you don't, just have a professional come in and do it. They'll come in, they'll rip through the job, especially if it's new construction. They really know what they're doing there, and then it's just done.
Hey, DLL.
Wait, sorry. As for what to look out for, don't waste money on just extra crap that you don't need. You do not need a special little bucket for holding your paint when you go up the ladder. You just use a paint bucket. You fold over the handle, you hold that in your thumb, you hold the bottom of the paint bucket, and you just fill it up about this much. It's called a cut can. Not because you cut the can, but it's for cutting in the edges. So you just put like this much paint in the bottom, then you dip your brush, bang it on the sides, and just paint a nice steady line. Just use like a sash. I think it's called a sash brush, the kind that's shaped like that. Okay, like kind of like a sword. So don't waste money on like, oh yeah, buy this little thing that goes on the end of a pole, and you like run it along the top to do edging. Don't do any of that stuff. The only things you need to paint a room are a brush, a roller pull, a roller, cut can, and a drop cloth. Never, ever, no job is so small that you don't need a drop cloth. Don't do it. It's not worth it.
I've heard this from other people as well, specifically about the drop cloth.
Hey, DLL, I might try to Skunkworks, a LAN at OpenSauce. What's your most obscure LAN party favorite that you've had issues running on modern systems?
Liero.
Ooh.
But there's a modern like redo, but it doesn't include some of my favorite things to do in old Liero. It had a map editor that was a lot of fun. We spent a lot of time in Mr. McCloskey's portable.
What is Liero?
It's a little it's like Worms, but real time. 1v1.
Oh.
Yeah, it's ancient.
How do you spell it?
Liero.
Whoa. It is definitely ancient.
It's super fun.
That's sweet.
DLL, I have been Amazon free for a year after listening to Luke. Recently,
Wow.
I had 2 tech orders placed at other stores ship from Amazon.
Got 'em.
How do you avoid this? Should companies have to disclose this? Yeah.
Fucking got him.
What? Okay, I've received boxes that were Amazon boxes from other companies, but I don't think they just relabeled it personally. I think they just had that box and reused it. Wow, I don't run into this very often. Just try to find another store. I don't think there's like, you're not going to be able to go back to them and be like, I didn't want this to come from Amazon. But yeah, just go somewhere else. There's only so much you can do.
Yeah, best advice. Get wrecked.
Yeah, good one, Luke. Oh my God, they said the names properly. Hello, Dan, Luke, and Linus. This feels wrong now. Any update on Whale Land, and what are you looking forward to seeing at COMPUTEX? From M. Barton the Whale.
I'm kind of hoping for NVIDIA 5000 series at COMPUTEX. That'd be pretty cool. I don't actually think it's that likely, but I'd certainly be into it. Could use a new GPU family. Maybe the pricing won't suck. Sorry, it's not funny. Update on Whale Land? No. We've got to work things out with the city. That's probably going to take some time. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully they are willing to work with us in good faith. And if not, then, I mean, it might be dead. So, yeah, that would sure be lame.
Lame land.
Yeah, lame land.
It's online.
All right. And on that note, hey, thanks so much for tuning in. We will see you again next week. Same bad time.
Are we going to skim through potentials?
Same bad channel? Oh.
I do need to skip through quick, but there is a bunch of potentials.
Those were collapsed by default. I didn't even see them.
Oh. I'll start top, you start bottom.
I mean, sure. Linus, would you consider daily driving a Sony smartphone? Absolutely. The one thing I'm waiting for is for them to allow reversing the back and multitask buttons. I am right-handed. I use back a lot, and I usually use my phone in my right hand. I cannot be reaching across it like that. So I just need them to get that done, and then I'm good to go. I'm so ready.
I'm trying to curate.
Oh, okay. William asks, we've heard about the charges that app stores charge, but how much did a store like NCIX make off of a $60 game? So NCIX had very, very poor relationships with game publishers and game distributors. So we would make as little, we could make as much as about $3 or $4 off of a $60 game, and as little as losing money in order to hit MSRP. It was very stupid. Basically, physical media sales was a complete disaster from us from day zero until the very end. It just made absolutely no sense whatsoever.
There was also like barely any there. It was
if we didn't make any money on them.
Yeah.
Why would we stock them? Occasionally, we'd bring in some of like a really hot new title just to kind of bring people in the door and have them be aware that we existed. But that was the only business reason that we would ever do that.
I'm just going to take a screenshot here. This isn't freezing, if you think that's happening. Okay, cool. Do continue if you have any more.
Do you want me to just like do stuff?
Okay, no, I'm done. I can read now. Sorry. Hey, LLD, I've been really enjoying David as a host recently. What went into his move from shooting to hosting? Was it something he initiated, or was it suggested by someone else at the company?
Oh, I mean, I think that would be a story for David to tell, but
I thought that might be the case. I wasn't super sure.
I guess I can kind of tell maybe my part of it. I've always really enjoyed working with David, and I think that from my point of view, it was a cool potential path for him to progression. I think that he'd been in that role for a really long time, and I think that I think it's been really, really positive. I
really like his stuff.
I see. I got to be careful when I'm putting words in other people's mouths, right? Because I was about to say we've always enjoyed working together, but for all I know, he fucking hates my guts, right?
Who knows?
Possible. I mean, I don't know that he'd still be here if that were the case. He's been here a long time now. Is he at his... I mean, I can't get into people's start dates. You got to be so careful, right, about as an employer disclosing people's information. I'm pretty sure that everything I'm saying right now is within bounds, but you got to be so careful anyway. I always really enjoyed working with him, and I thought it would be pretty cool to work on more of like the planning the video side together as opposed to the execution of the video side together. And we've got some quite senior members of the camera team that are really awesome to the point where we didn't need David to be there all day, every day anymore. We've got Andy and second Andy and Andrew. He goes by Andrew. I was so tickled when he came back from a family function of some sort, and he was like, "Yeah, people kept talking to me," and I'd go, "Oh, where's Andy?" Because he gets called Andy, and it never even occurred to me because he goes by Andrew here, and also because we have Andy and Andrew in the camera department, so nobody would ever think to call Andrew Andy, but it's like, yeah, obviously it's short for. And then Glenn's been doing awesome work with the camera team lately as well. So we've got like 3 really good dedicated camera people and some others that can kind of sub in when needed. So yeah, David moved over to writing. I think he's been doing a great job. He's got a very creative mind. Very, very creative mind. He's a doer. He's a thinker. We've got, I mean, obviously the only reason I'm talking about David is because you asked. We've got a really, really great team overall, world class, but that was specifically in my version of the story, not putting any words in his mouth, why that particular transition took place.
Hey DLL, loved the LumaField CT scanner video. Was wondering what you think about heat-reactive cups that show the internals of various products when it heats up.
That's a super cool idea.
Pretty neat.
Finding a mug source that doesn't have any lead in their shit has been very difficult. If you've ever wondered why we're the only merch store on Earth that doesn't have mugs.
That's a thing?
It's not for lack of effort. But it's in a lot of the like ceramic colorant, like the treatment.
Yeah.
It's probably fine.
Current amount of years old when I figured out that crystal is lead crystal.
Yeah.
Like old crystal cookware, whatever, it's all lead. I had no idea.
I don't think a lot of it actually leaches into whatever's in it, but like,
sure.
Yeah. So at some point, we're going to figure it out. Maybe. I also was deeply uncomfortable with how bone china works. So only a certain percentage of what they fire meets the quality standard, which is inherent, I guess. But the solution to that is that anything that doesn't meet standard, they have specially mapped out landfills where it just all goes.
Okay.
Any industry that has so much waste that they have their own special landfill where they can put all of their stuff.
I thought it had something to do with how it was mapped out. I was confused for a second. All right. Yeah.
No, it's just there's a ton of waste.
Yeah.
So much. For every mug that we sold on the store, they were going to produce like 3 to meet our quality standards. So we were just like, how about no? Yeah, how about not that?
All right.
So
that's pretty cool.
Hey, WAN.DLL, what are your daily driver battery banks?
And hold on, to be clear, there might be suppliers that do a better job or whatever, but we haven't found them. So we're and yeah, there you go.
What's your daily driver battery bank? I remember you mentioning one.
It's hold on, I'm gonna get the Anker 733 power bank. So it's a combination wall wart / power bank with PD. It's kind of inconvenient how heavy it is. So especially when I'm traveling on like loose hotel and plane outlets, it has a tendency
to fall out.
Yeah, feel how heavy it is.
Yeah, I can see that happening.
It has a tendency to fall out, but the convenience of having a battery bank that is always charged, because I use it anytime I charge my laptop and it charges this at the same time.
That's actually pretty cool.
Kind of outweighs it.
Cool.
Yeah. I mean, look, I've talked about this before. We won't take Anker's money because I don't think they've ever really made right from that whole security camera Eufy brand situation thing. But that doesn't mean I won't use the product. Like people seem to be very confused sometimes about the things that I say.
There's a difference between company and self.
There's also
people find this to be a very difficult concept when it comes to me and Amazon because they know that Floatplane has some workings through AWS. And they're like, you boycott Amazon, but you used AWS stuff with Floatplane? I'm like, yeah.
You criticize society, yet you participate in society.
It's like, what?
It's
I,
this,
as an individual, won't do it.
This is not the gotcha that you think it is. I'm willing to buy a product and use it, or in that case, probably they sent it to us as a sample. I don't know, but I'm willing to use a product. I'm not willing to endorse it, and I'm not willing to take their money in order to promote it to you.
Yeah,
that's it. It's that simple.
For Linus, are you still using your Steam Deck?
No. I did just finally finish Dave the Diver, though. It was awesome. I played it on the Ally.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
It's a good game. Did you play it?
I started it. I didn't get super gripped, and with that type of gameplay time, I should be spending more time in Final Fantasy VI, so I have not continued.
Oh, yeah. Have you played it at all?
A little bit.
Oh, really?
Just not a lot.
Where you at?
I'm still stuck in that town. I don't remember the name of it.
Wow, you suck.
Yeah.
He's still in Zozo.
Yeah.
You might say that his effort has been Zozo.
Yeah.
You get a bell for that one. LLD, have you ever met a person who you thought was a fan, but they were actually some acquaintance you just forgot you met?
Oh, yeah.
100%.
100%.
That's
Especially
insane.
at trade shows.
Oh.
Because, man, there'll be someone I haven't seen in 8 years or whatever, and they remember me because they watch the videos or something, so their memory of me is constantly being refreshed, and mine isn't, and no offense, but, like, I'm really bad with names and faces, and even going back to my days at NCIX when I had no YouTube channel at all, I would be meeting so many people because I was a retailer, and generally, like, you know, everyone's trying to get their product in your store. So I would have so many people wanting to meet me that there's so many faces, and I'm so sleep deprived. Like I'm at my worst at trade shows. I try my best, but I'm at my worst, and so I just often have this issue. I will sometimes start an encounter with someone and I'll just gamble because I have no idea. Yeah. I'll be like, "Hey, nice to see you again," and they're like, "What?" Or I'll be like, "Hey, nice to meet you," and they're like, "This is is about the fourth time, but sure."
You got to do the neutrals.
Nah, I just own it at this point.
Good to see you. First time, last time, who knows?
No, I just own it at this point.
I do neutrals for sure. Even if I'm 100% confident, I do neutrals.
If I get it wrong, I'm just like, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm really bad with names and faces. I think it's a learning disability.
One of my problems is actually
they can't come after me if I say it's a disability. No, seriously, I can't do it to the point where I think there might be something wrong with me.
Isn't that part of ADHD stuff?
I don't know, maybe.
I thought it was.
Sure.
I don't know.
Well, it's a learning disability.
Sure. I don't know. For me, I constantly think I like might recognize people. So then who knows? Yeah. 'Cause I'll be like, I might know this person from like hockey when I was
It also might have been at like a viewer meetup.
Or that.
So who knows?
Or whatever else.
It could be any relationship.
I have no clue. And then they'll say hi and I'm like, sure. Could be generic white dude. Could be met at a meetup. Could be played sports with. Yep. I have no clue. All right, next up. Let's keep going.
Okay, I'm going to go with that. I'm just going to say, sorry, I'm neurodivergent.
Nice.
Which is not untrue.
That is true. Let's keep it going.
Hi, Luke. Other than NASA, what government tech infrastructure would you like to tour? Like a nuclear power plant?
Yeah, if we want to see all their floppy disks, I guess.
Anxiety plants.
Yes.
Greetings from wanteam.ltt. Would like advice from Linus. It's been a few months since I bought my manual car, and it's the best purchase decision I've ever made. Any tips and tricks for me?
Have fun. Enjoy it while it lasts. I mean, it's. I don't think they're going to keep making them, at least not at affordable price points, for much longer. I mean, you'll be able to get older vehicles, obviously, but replacement parts are eventually going to become difficult to source, and the whole manual driving lifestyle is going to fall by the wayside.
Yeah, they have like simulated manual now, but
Oh, the CVT
I heard
garbage.
it's awesome.
yeah.
Every article I've read about it is like, this is actually fucking incredible. And it's funny because I every time I come across another one, I send it to Alex Clark with like a nya, because I told him that I thought that would be something that could like get me really into a car, is like having all the torque of electric with like the fun of just playing with even if it's a fake gearbox, like gear by wire or whatever. And he every time he's like, oh man, it's hilarious. Like, seethe harder, bro, because he hates it so much. He's a mechanical engineering guy, right? Like Anyway, when we finally get a chance to try one, I think we're almost going to have to do 2 completely separate short circuits. He'll have to do one, and I'll have to do one.
If you did, yeah. Oh, or you do one, but you guys cover the same thing, and you just cover it like back by back or like spliced together.
Be kind of fun.
That'd be interesting. Yeah.
Hey, DLL, early in my IT career as a help desk tech after performing a career change, what is a memorable or favorite moment early in your careers?
I mean, my very first day at the computer store being a Boxing Day, which is the Canadian equivalent of Black Friday, was
I'm so sorry.
absolutely wild.
That's pretty epic. There was one day where my supervisor at the time in Geek Squad told me that I could take my overshirt part of my uniform off so that I wouldn't get stopped by employees and could just hide in the back and just work on computers because we were backed up, and he thought I would be the fastest at fixing everything.
That's pretty cool.
And I was so filled with pride that I did as good of a job as I possibly could have, because I was like, this is sick. That was cool.
Very early LMG. I'll never forget packing for that very first CES.
Yeah.
Putting together that like duffel that had the editing computer with the Extreme Edition in it, like the super, super tiny editing computer. And then like it had like a monitor or 2 like packed in it. I think one of them ended up getting broken at some point. Maybe that was at a different trade show. It eventually got broken.
I think it was eventually.
But we had these like Acer, like super slim for the time, IPS monitors that were like, honestly, pieces of shit, like by modern standards, but they were good enough that we could edit videos.
Then, yeah.
And like this whole clever idea that we were going to set up an editing booth, like an editing suite, like in our hotel room, and like man, we were up late those nights, and we were like filming videos of the prep so that we'd have videos to upload, because it was do or die time. If we didn't make videos, like that was it. Luke and Ed didn't get paid, and I had to go get a job. Like I also didn't get paid. It was that simple.
Yeah, we cranked. That year was crazy.
That year was absolutely nuts.
We're all probably going to live a little bit less long because of that one trip. Just a tiny amount.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
But yeah.
No question.
Hello, Dan, Luke, and Linus. Luke, I'm on the opposite side of my health journey from you, being underweight and apathetic. How would you approach healing in my case?
Well, I have no experience with that, really. At one point in time, I was very, very skinny.
Really?
Yeah, I had like fainting problems from it.
And do you have any memory of this time, or
It was before I knew you.
Is the skinny in the room with us right now?
you were fetal at this point? Or?
Oh my goodness! No. This was like in high school. If I sat down and leaned forward, my gut didn't even go out. It still came in. I was really skinny. It was largely because I was growing way too fast.
Yeah, I knew the humble brag was coming. I was just too tall and Chad.
I didn't say how tall I was at the time. I just said it was a growth spurt. I was very tall at the time.
And my was growing too.
It probably was statistically. And it comes to, you got to consume more calories if you want to gain more weight. And then the apathetic part, this isn't going to help with the needing to consume more calories bit, but I find to be inspired to do things, you have to actually do the thing first. You have to be in motion if you want to stay in motion, basically. Yep.
Be a flywheel. Let's go.
Yeah. So do more stuff and stuff food in your face. Try not to just like feed with garbage either, though, to be clear. You don't want a dirty bulk. Just eat more food in general. One thing that can help with that is eating more dense calories. Because like if you think about how like people do it in the opposite. Actually, though,
I know.
Have more nuts. You'll be really surprised at how many calories are in nuts. So if you go to like Costco and buy those big tubs of just like nuts.
Yeah.
The amount of calories that are in one of those tubs is insane.
Yep. The calories in Luke's nuts, you wouldn't believe it.
They're trying to eat meals, not snacks. Okay, last one I got here. LTT and NVIDIA, thank you for the 4080 Super. Winning it prompted an emergency case change. What was one of the most memorable times you acquired something and it led to other purchases?
You know what? I'm going to ignore the second part of your question because the most memorable time I ever won something was when my school did like a fundraiser thing where you like sell whatever and like raise money. And out of the like 350 students, they drew one of those gigantic 5-pound Hershey chocolate bars as a prize. And I fucking won it. My dad didn't let me eat it. He made me like cut it up into pieces and bring it into my class to share with everybody, which in hindsight was the right thing.
Definitely the right way
Absolutely
to go.
Like primo parenting moment, but fuck.
Yeah.
I was not happy about it.
It's kind of funny. What a thing to give to a kid.
Yeah, 5 pounds. There's a picture of me like
just beaming
7 or something, and, like holding this thing that I could like. It looks so big because I'm so small.
Oh my goodness. All right, let's get out of here.
All right, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you again next week. Same bad time, same bad channel.
Bye.